Hi, everybody. Got a little bit of mugwort. Burning some mugwort tonight. There's a little lavender in it. Nope, that's all mugwort. All mugwort. How's everybody doing this evening? Right? It's a good evening. It's beautiful. There's Mr. Fry. And whenever you give me the thumbs up, Mr. Fry, I will bring you in. On. We're ready. Okay. Gotcha. Hi, baby.
What's up?
What?
What's up?
Oh.
Shaka, baby.
Shaka,
baby.
Shaka, baby. Shaka, baby. Hi. Oh, my goodness. The feed just went boom. It was nothing. And then all of a sudden there was a bunch of them. So hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. I'm going to be on for a little bit. Thank you. It is that, you just can't mess it up kind of hairstyle. I need low maintenance, right? Low maintenance. So, hi, babe. How was your day?
Thank you, Renee. It took me all about 3 seconds to comb it.
You're an ass.
Can't hear me, can you?
Mm-hmm.
Can't hear me, can you?
My lord, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
I mean, really loud. I've got my speaker turned up.
We'll turn the sound down, knucklehead.
Well, see the stink eye? You got the purple conditioner?
Good
It's
evening.
a lot of fun.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening. So, as you guys can see in the thing we're doing, we are doing. Oh, I need to go over here, and find my stuff. I figure out what I'm doing.
I work so hard at it, Renee.
Right. So what we're doing tonight is, you got 6 inches cut off your hair. That's a lot of hair, right? We're going to do animal totems and Akashic records tonight. I don't believe I have but maybe one appointment available left for Tuesday. And I had people going, that's not going to work for me. So this is another evening that I decided to go ahead and offer readings so that people that wanted to get them could get them. So here is the link. I will put it up there. I think that's the link. Oh, wrong link. Dang it. Wrong link. Wrong link. That's what I get for. I know. There's the link. That's the link. Okay. Your mom and you are doing Salem. Yay, Kelly. Yay. I put out the newsletter today, but I did not put out the Salem stuff. I don't have all of the people that are major players in it set up yet. They're there. They just haven't given me the go. So I'm waiting on that, and we are talking to people. We're looking for 3 more readers that want to come in and do a little bit extra on the side there at the conventions, or turning into something. Turning into something, right? So how this works, you guys, is if we're going to, I'll start working here. And if you want to be put up on the list to get an Akashic record or an animal totem, the paypal.me will take you in that direction. And you can, let me find it. And you can get put at the top of the list.
And I'm all set to take down names.
Yep, that's what he's there to do this evening, is make sure I stay straight. Let me put this here. Oh, that's wrong. No, that's wrong.
Godzilla is on. Oh man.
Oh man. Not Godzilla.
Which Godzilla is it, Lori? It's Godzilla. Godzilla.
That's not right.
So prices are donations to whatever you feel is adequate.
Yep. That's what we're doing.
So it's It is dealer's choice, or shall we say, Godzilla.
Yep. Gajira. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. I'm going to start with an animal totem this evening, and until I have people rolling in, if that's what's going to happen, it may happen, it may not, whatever. Make sure if you donate, though, okay, make sure you put it on the feed that you donated, whether you wanted Akashic or if you wanted animal totems, okay? You guys.
And I don't know if they give you the option on there to put a note on the PayPal thing either. So if you can, just put in there.
I have no idea. Okay, so
Renee, Renee, it's whatever you're comfortable with. $1, $5, $10, $1,000, whatever you feel comfortable with. We're not putting a price on anything. It's whatever you.
We're also doing a giveaway tonight. Husband didn't know that. We're doing a giveaway tonight too. So
well,
we're giving away Kiwi Jasper tonight, you guys. Kiwi Jasper.
Not the Kiwi Jasper.
I like the Kiwi Jasper. Yeah. So under the request or send button, send. Under the send button, you guys.
Yeah, don't
request.
Don't hit request.
I think people get confused with that.
Yeah.
I've never used it, so I don't know. But yeah. Lisa Phillips, you do have an open basket, but it just is a bill that hasn't been, it's an invoice that hasn't been taken care of yet. I didn't know if you wanted an open basket. You let me know, because we're leaving for a couple weeks. Weeks. Any unpaid bills before we leave don't get shipped until we get back. So we're going to be gone until like the 22nd or 23rd of the month. Okay. So I'm so excited. We're going to start with some animal totems.
We get to go home and see that grandbaby.
Yes, we do. We're going to see a grandbaby. Okay. Let's start with
and the kids too.
And the kids too, yeah. We're going to start with some animal totems this evening until we get rolling, and we're going to start with Linda Fortune. Linda Fortune, I want to talk about the hummingbird. I don't know if you are aware that I actually have two for you. I have a hummingbird and I have a crane. So there's something you're supposed to be watching out for. The crane actually is talking about seeing deeper into situations and seeing deeper into messages that you have, because it's a white crane. It's not just like a blue heron looking kind of crane. It's a white crane. And they're talking about messages from the other side. So I don't know if you're paying attention, because you're getting little synchronicities of messages from the other side, because that's where that hummingbird comes in. And this hummingbird has lots of purples on it. And they're saying, pay attention. The purple has everything to do with your third eye and your crown chakra. Also, I feel like there might be just an awareness or a thought about somebody that's in your area or in your energetic field, somebody from the other side that is just trying to get an information across to you. So you might just feel it as a vibration and an awareness as well. So don't discount those minutes and those moments, because it's almost like they just want to touch your heart and let you know, hey, I'm around. You're doing a really good job. There's something you're doing that you're doing a really good job on. They're like, keep going, keep going. So I don't know what they're talking about, but they're really on top of that. So you guys make sure you share, because you have to have that share button to be in the giveaway. We're giving away Kiwi Jasper tonight. It's a nice piece too. Right. Nice size. So, okay, moving on. Hey, Vicki McHale. Hey, Vicki McHale. I would appreciate if you'd stop licking yourself in my room. Don't look at me like, who, me? It's disgusting. Okay, moving on.
Lisa.
Hi, everybody. Yes.
Can you put the up? Lisa.
PayPal.me. You froze, but I can hear you. So just a second. I can hear you. You froze.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. There. I got it. I can see you. You're fine. I can hear you. For whatever reason, your screen freezes, but I can still hear you. Hi. Can you see me? Hi, Fry. I can hear you. Be careful what you say. Don't be cussing, man.
So listen, I have to shut down my internet and reboot it because I'm on yesterday's thing. I'm about to run.
Okay.
I'm about to run at my maximum. So
Okay.
just give me a minute and I'll be right back.
All good, man. Love you.
Yeah, I love
Go
you
do
too.
your thing.
I hate this stupid place.
Bye. Bye. No, we don't say that. Bye. He is, man, that mugwort. I got to put it out. I mean, there's mugwort and then there's too much mugwort, right? Good Lord. Okay, we're done with it. He's in Maryland. Too much. Okay. There he is. Let's see if this is better, if he's better off. How you doing? That better?
I don't know. Can you see me now?
I can see and hear you, honey, all day long.
Am I frozen?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Nancy, yeah.
I'm trying to get back into PayPal. Into PayPal.
Okay, you're fine. Nancy,
my phone and my tablet are blowing up over here. So a lot of people online, I can already tell.
I muted mine.
My internet went.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm trying to figure out how to pin the comment as to what it is. Let's see if I can.
Can't you put it on the screen like
what the?
Or do you have to be offline to set that up?
Hold on. I'm going over to I have to do it from My Mystical Life. There we go. I think I can. There we go. I can pin it on there. It's pinned on My Mystical Life, you guys. It's pinned on My Mystical Life. Okay, here we go. All right. So tonight we're talking about Akashic Records. And what are those Akashic Records? Those Akashic Records are a record of anything we've ever done or ever are going to do, because time is only here, right? Time is only linear here on this dimension. So everything else is happening at the same time. So, hey, Sylvia. So we're doing all that this evening. We're also offering animal totems this evening. So I love doing animal totems as a shaman. One of the first things that I did was animal totems to do readings, and they come up very easily for me, and I love working with them. So we don't do a whole lot of animal totems on here. It's just an opportunity to have that done. Mr. Fry, yes.
A second. No
worries.
Okay. Renee Shellum is the first in line there.
Okay, Renee Shellum. Which does Renee want? Animal or Akashic?
Oh, animal totem.
Animal totem. Okay. Renee, you right out the gate. So I'm going to try and give you a couple animal totems. Everybody, I'm going to try and give you a couple animal totems. The first animal totem that I have for Renee, though, is definitely a wolf. There's a couple that everybody wants to have. They want to have the buffalo. They want to have the wolf. They want to have the bear. They want to have the eagle and the hawk and all those really good ones, right? But a lot of times I usually hear me give like earthworms and things like that, because there's such a diversity in the things that we can bring across. So when I do bring across a wolf, I know that that's a powerful energy. I also can tell you a lot about a person by their animal totems. I know that even though this isn't an Akashic record, I can tell her that she has had many past lives as sacred past lives because of the color of this wolf and the energy that rolls off of it, because this is a very familiar energy that goes along with shamanism as well. And this is just an animal totem that's like, we already carry this energy. We're carrying it forward into this lifetime. They say you're coming into being. You're coming into being a new individual. And it almost feels like they're pulling away a husk, and I know you've been in classes, I know you've been working and all that on developing, but it's almost like it's just going to fall away and everything's going to be so very natural for you that you're going to start transitioning into this really beautiful silver light, which to me means that it's going to also you're going to have some healing aspects to that as well. And you're going to be very, very strongly guided. I know that you are anyways, but That's kind of me cheating because I've watched you read, right? But uh, your connection, you're connecting the dots is going to become stronger and stronger as you go along, especially over the next 8 months. They say they give me the number 8. And they also talk about the moose. This is another really cool animal totem that portrays a lot of strength and a larger than life energy, because some of the past lives you've had, you've done larger than life things, been a profound healer in many, many lifetimes. They talk about Russia as well, Serbia. They're showing me a lot of snow, and that's funny. They give me the location by reindeer. They say reindeer. There's a reindeer over there, but they're talking about that location over there where you've done quite a bit of past life work. They keep talking about reindeer for you. And magic. It's about magic. I know that's so weird. The reindeer, when I see reindeer, I keep hearing bells. It's something about the association with you and those particular animals. But they don't come across as an animal totem. They're showing me as this is a location. This is one of the past lives where you worked as probably a shaman. And they talk about, I don't know if they do that or not. They talk about this person. This was a male life with this reindeer association over in Russia. They talk about the person wore gold on their hands, like they wore their treasures. I don't necessarily know it was gold, but they wore their treasures like in rings and amulets on their body. I don't know if that's how they carried their wealth with them, but they're talking about this was a very wealthy individual because he was constantly working for other people, and he was gifted lots of things because he was very good at what he did. But you carry that wolf energy with you and that moose energy. That moose energy also, I want to say, is that land energy, but it's also water energy as well. So you have a real good diversity when it comes to that. So you're transitioning into more of a water energy at the moment. Interesting. Okay. Moving on, Mr. Fry. I'm not even watching the feed right now, you guys. I'm way behind.
Yeah, it's yeah. Leslie Mason, she would like an Akashic, please.
Leslie. Okay, Leslie. Hi, Leslie. Leslie, you're so funny. You have a guide that is kind of a smartass. Because as I'm like poking around, this is what I hear: beyond time and space, almost like Leonard Nimoy sounding, like really, really rumbly and really diverse and experience, and this just really deep individual. And I know it has to do with being a starseed. And we're going to go to the other side of the aisle. I am kind of amazed with this. Very rarely do I go to the other side of the aisle when I'm doing Akashic. So when I step into my Akashic calls, I have a Dewey Decimal System over here that is just long row of index cards and Dewey Decimal. And on top of that, I have like video screens where I start to see what is going on and I'm reading. And on the other side of that aisle, very, very rarely do I get to go over there, but that is extraterrestrial. They don't like to dip over that far that very often. But I want to talk about a lifetime that's very aquatic. And I as I go along in this, I don't know where it's going. I'm just going to go with it. We're going to talk about it, and maybe more will come out. But it's very aquatic in nature. I understand. Okay, thank you very much. This is Sirius B. This is Sirius B. This is a Syrian past life. And it would have been somebody that was very important within that in that society. The reason I say that is I see this individual. It's very aquatic, so it's not quite what you would think of as looking human, right? But they keep they keep tilting their crown back up. They keep tilting their crown back up, like I'm important, I'm important, I'm important. This would have been somebody that didn't leave their home area. They were kept pretty close to home. Because my first thought was, well, was this somebody that travels? I know that they're the Dogon tribe, and ancient Egypt had to do with Syria B, and a whole bunch of different locations on the planet associated with Sirius B. But no, this person actually this individual stayed on home planet. And I believe they were associated to science, and they like to see how things ticked. So they had multiple jobs where they helped further the education of their society. And they also talk a lot about where they came from. They show this is where we came from, not like a different place that they're talking about. You're a fish, but they're talking about how they almost do it like we would think of evolution, but they talk about how they were one and then they broke apart. I'm not quite sure what they're talking about there, but it's like we were once one and then all of a sudden we weren't anymore, and there was so much diversity within their society at that point. I also want to say that they were not always a peaceful energy. They conflicted every once in a while with people on their own planet, and then they Oh, okay, I understand. Thank you. So then they learned that they're to move off planet and go travel in the stars more often. Instead of just an occasional thing, they became more of a traveler, and they realized that it was much more friendly on their own personal planet. So everybody got along pretty much better than they did out journeying around. They realized that what is it? The grass is never greener on the other side. But there's something about this energy that from this particular past life that they were really talking about you being an instructor. You were somebody that was really important within society, but you also fed the knowledge to the people about where they came from and who they were and why they were spectacular and why they were beautiful. Interesting. I want to say I'm trying to figure out whether it's a male or female energy, and I just don't get I get a very androgynous feeling with it. Interesting past life. Actually, very, very, very interesting, because I don't get a lot of that detail from, and they keep giving me the color purple. I don't get a lot of detail from that side of the aisle. Okay, and then we're going to hit another past life for you as well, and that seems relevant. Okay, it seems relevant. I'm always going to give you the information that they want you to have because it's relevant to the right here, right now. Okay, what lessons you have going on in this moment are always going to be relevant. Mr. Fry, make sure you keep it to a manageable number of donations, please.
You're up to 2 hours.
Okay.
No, you're not. I'm just messing with you.
I mean, I just don't want to get so many that
there's 10 people. There's 10 people on the list right now.
Okay, we're good. So this other lifetime that I have is very courtly feeling.
So everybody that's on here, please watch the feed for your name. There's a. You can't hear me again, can you?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so there's a bunch of people that have paid donations, and they did not want it. So when you see your name come up on the board here on the feed, because I'm feeding information over here to ask that I want, because I don't know what you want. When you do, if you're going to do a donation in the notes part of that, please put what reading you want on there, because now I have to go back and ask everybody what they want. So not everybody, but most everybody. Yeah. So just know that your name is going to show up here, and please answer. I'll be watching the feed, and I'll give you. So okay, I'm muted.
Okay. So this second life that I have for you, Leslie, is a male past life, and I want to say that this is another bye Beth. It's another very androgynous feeling lifetime. This was a very conflicted person as to what direction their life was going. I feel like they were very guided into their life. They didn't have a lot of choices. And this is somebody that bowed before somebody else. This is a male past life. This is, they're giving me like 1400s, 1500s, somewhere in that range. But it was somebody that bowed before royalty. I do know that. I see them standing in front of people on large chairs, and he's doing a very courtly bow, and he goes very, very far down. It's like so low, like he's just down. And I almost feel like he's being judged by them. I feel like he does things. So he's pretty close to the royalty of this particular realm that he's living in. I kind of feel like it's French. And yeah, it's French. I hear French. So they're chastising him and telling him he's not doing the right thing. I feel like he is just, there's nothing he can do to make them happy. Nothing like if he wore one color, they'd be like, oh, you should have wore another color. I understand why. Thank you. It's as if it's almost as if their family had fallen out of favor, and he was there. He was trying to get back in good graces. He was the son of somebody that did something horrible, and he was trying to get back into good graces. The other thing I have to say about this is I feel like when I say androgynous, I really feel like he was in this lifetime he was gay. He probably liked men more than he did women, and it was also kind of one of those things that they turned a blind eye to, but everybody knew, and he was very obvious about it, and that was fine. It's fine. He was living his truth, right? But it did get him. And I hear somebody cast him aside, and it caused an issue. Oh, it caused a huge issue with him emotionally. So I want to say that I feel like this person actually ended their life quite poor and away from court. I believe that they were not cast out so much as moved away from it and was trying to find more of themselves as they moved along in their lifetime journey. And he wrote. I do know that he used to write. He would write things down, almost like poetry. I almost feel like you could research this. I feel like this is somebody that you could research and find information on. Interesting individual, blonde hair. He had blonde hair. Thomas, something along those lines. Yeah, that's all I have. Okay, moving on. How are we doing, Mr. Fry?
Sandra Oak next, and she like an Akashic.
Okay, Sandra Oaks. Sandra. Interesting. Okay. So the first thing I see is rifling. I see hunting. I see a male energy, big burly kind of male energy. I have guides that I love because they use movie references sometimes to get, like, I'm going, is that really what I'm seeing? They're like, get a big bushy beard. So this person actually was very woodsy. I want to think of think of Grizzly Adams. Grizzly Adams did have a beard, right? So think of Grizzly Adams and that type of lifestyle out into the woods. I also want to say they keep showing me prospecting type of situations, like where you're pulling things out of the ground or you're pulling things out of the water. So I really feel like this is gold rushy. But I don't think it's somebody that moved from the east to try and find their riches. I think it's somebody that was already out there and it just happened to be in their area. And they made a significant amount of money doing this, by the way, because as I see this person, I see he was hunting to start with. He was, the very first picture I had of him was he was sighted down a barrel of a gun and he was hunting for his food. And at the very end of this lifetime that I see, he's eating off of really nice dishes. So I do know he had quite a bit of prosperity doing this, and you know why? Because he knew how to keep his mouth shut. He knew how to keep his mouth shut. I believe he didn't work with anybody. I think he was very, very quiet about it. And that's also part of that Grizzly Adams kind of thing that they're trying to give across with this whole privacy. He was out in the middle of nowhere. He didn't need to share his anything with anybody. And he was very peaceful in what he did and never went shouting around that he found stuff. He didn't even cash it in until he moved out of the area after he collected all he could get, because they're showing me big, huge bags leaving the area with him instead of going. How stupid would it have been to go to the assay office and cash in chunks of gold and then everybody knows that he has it? He was much smarter than that. So he didn't say a thing, and he went and moved back east with what he had on his back, living very poorly. And when he got back to where he wanted to be, closer to his family also, by the way, I need to say, is when he finally cashed in all of his gold and became quite rich. They keep showing, I keep hearing the clinking of china and eating off of really nice dishes. I also want to say he had 3 daughters. After he got back to where he was going, he had 3 daughters that were raised very properly, and he was so proud of that. He was like, this is what hard work will do for you. If you work hard, you keep your mouth shut, you do what you're supposed to do, you live a good life, then you can provide for other people as well. It's a huge, strong foundation in your energetic field. But I also want to say he always kept something in his home. He always had something in his home that had some kind of fur on it. I don't know what it was, like a trapper's hat or something along those lines. He kept it to remind himself of the harder times, and it was like it hung someplace, like on a mirror, totally out of place in his home, but it hung on a mirror because he was so proud of where he come from. It was like a bull in a china shop going east, because I don't feel like he came from there. He had family there. But I think he went out west with his family when he was younger, and when he went back, he was like a bull in a china shop. Let's move on. We're going to move on to another one. We're going to move on to ancient Egypt. Don't ask me why. I don't know where we're going yet. That's where we're going. Ancient Egypt. I do see ancient Egypt. Understood. Thank you very much. Okay, interesting. Another self-made individual. What?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I know whether my internet's working or not. So if somebody just got a declined message, you sent a request, not a donation. So you might want to go redo that. I don't want to say who you are. I just declined it because it was coming across as a request for money, not a donation. So that's all. And there are a few people that I'm trying to decipher. It comes across as an email address. It doesn't come across as a name. So I don't know how to address this one short of calling out an email address. So just have patience. PayPal doesn't put your name on there. It just has an email. So,
gotcha. Okay.
And there's a couple people that have asking if they're donating, if it's come through, and I haven't seen it yet. So I'm watching. I'll shoot you a message here in a minute to confirm. I'm on 3 different devices trying to cover all this.
There's going to be a point where you're going to have to cut it off. Okay. So
well, I don't know how to cut it off.
I'll just have to take the link down.
You have to cut it off, and I think take the link down for a little bit. Let me get caught up here.
Okay. Let me go to.
Please.
The hell was that? I have no idea what that was. Okay, let me get down here. Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. So I need to get back. I need to get back to Sandra Oaks. So this is another lifetime, kind of very, very self-made. It's somebody that started. They weren't. It wasn't a slavery situation, which was very prevalent in Egypt. By the way, we all know that. It was a person that was just extremely, extremely poor, and they picked up something early on in life. And I feel like they did. They worked on. I keep seeing the the hieroglyphics on the walls. I keep seeing the hieroglyphics on the walls. And it was like this, as a child, this person was mimicking somebody and doing painting, and they just developed it and did very well with this. So as it's so interesting, because as I'm seeing this young child grow, and as this child grows, they're just able to draw and paint bigger and bigger and bigger things. So it's almost like, I don't know if maybe it was a father that was somebody that was already in this, but as this child grew, he became very, very talented and was employed as an artist, painting on the walls in the temples. And they keep showing me lots of brilliant blues and purples. And lotus? Is that a lotus flower? What kind of flower is that? Some big flower. It was a big deal. It was his own style. Interesting. I want to say that this person, this is the important part of this lifetime. He lived a very long life. And he supplied for his family very, very well when there was a lot of suffering around him. And not only did he supply for his family very well, he also helped feed other people that were suffering. So this was a big part of his energetic field, was helping other people along the way, because he felt so blessed. Because I feel like when he was much younger, that he didn't have a whole lot. Their family didn't have a whole lot. But as he grew in skill, the family became more prosperous. And that was part of his major accomplishment. And that's what he considered a major accomplishment in life, was helping other people. Not that they were rich. They weren't rich. It was comfortable. They had food. That's all they needed, was food. Food and a home, right? Interesting. Talking about benevolence. Absolutely. How you doing there, Mr. Fry?
Yeah, I'm good. What's up? You ready for another? Roger that. So Patty Daler, excuse me. Patty Dollar. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He paid for the Akashic and the Totem.
Okay. All right. Peggy, I want to go with the bull, and not just the bull. I want to talk with this animal totem. I want to talk about a tour. It looks like a great big Spanish bull. Puts me in mind of Taurus and the constellation. I keep seeing the constellation Taurus. And the thing I have to say about this particular animal totem is that it is jet black. It is jet black. That makes a difference, because when they are that dark of a color, that means that there's a new situation, and they're just starting to learn on that situation. When I start to see an animal totem and they're this color, and they're not like a gray or something along those lines, it just says that there's the beginning of something going on. So new lessons, new challenges, definitely, where somebody may step into your energetic field and just be a real pain in the ass. It just happens that way sometimes, right? And there's pushback. So you may need to feel as if you have to push back against somebody. But this bull here is saying, hey, you know what? I've pushed back a whole lot, and sometimes it's just not that effective. So make sure that you are picking your battles, is what this animal totem's about. Picking your battles, because you've got to balance some things before you can start changing and some of the attitudes that are going to go with situations that may be coming up. And if this does not make sense to you right now, don't worry about it. I feel like it may be just something that you have an aha moment about in the next couple of weeks and go, oh my gosh, because somebody is going to test your patience. They're going to test your patience, and you have to figure out how to handle that in the best way. The other thing I want to talk about, the other animal totem we're going to talk about, is the ladybug. We're going to talk about the ladybug. I'm like, what, really? We're going to go from a bull to a ladybug. They're talking about being closer to nature, bringing in some energy from outside. You actually have a guide talking about going to hug a tree. If If you guys have ever felt the energy of a tree, it is quite amazing. Tree energy is very grounding, very, very, it just brings you right back here. It's so beautiful. So you have a guide that's out there going, hey, let's go find some nature. Let's go put our feet in the sand or put our hands in the dirt. And they're talking, there's going to come, and this has right to do with that bull as well. They're going, there's going to come a moment where you're going to have to go 1, 2, 3, and you're just going to have to count yourself down, making sure that you're keeping your temper in check because somebody is going to poke you. I have no idea what's going on. But somebody's going to create a situation that you just are like, I can't believe you're just so frustrating. Not that it's a horrible, horrible situation. It's just a frustrating moment, okay? That will pass, but just kind of be light about it. Just all you can do. Pick your battles and be light about it. And just make sure you're not being overly sensitive to things that are said to you as well. Make sure that you're just like, you know what, that's your opinion. My opinion differs, blah, 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 and go on with that. Okay. Okay, let's move on to Akashic. I thought I saw somebody stand behind Sam with his phone. I was like, what the hell? You got a problem over there, man. But let's move on. We are done taking donations right now. Sam has a huge list, and we're going to work through that first before we do anything else. So just as an FYI. Now let's move on to Akashic. Oh, okay. So, you know, past lives, you guys, they can be brief. They can be a whole lot of different things, right? The first thing I hear is, ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies, ashes, ashes, and we all fall down. And, you know, most of us know that that is about the plague, right? And as soon as I heard that, I got this feeling on my face, like I had things on my face. I really feel like this was somebody who was a victim of a plague infestation. I get a number though. I get a number. I don't know if there was what type of plague was running around, and they give me 1342. 1342. I don't know what was running around. If there was a big plague epidemic around that time or not. I'm assuming there probably would have been because there was no sanitation really to speak of. And this was more of an inner city type of situation. It was like in a town, a large, large town where people were crammed in on top of each other. And they keep talking about, so it had to have been someplace cold. They keep talking about everybody lived together for warmth in the winter. Like everybody cuddled in. Gosh, I can't pick out a location. I'm having a hard time picking out a location. It's just, they're showing me a wide band of illness along like Europe. So I'm having a hard time picking a location on that. I do want to say with this that this person passed away about 36 years old. They give me the number 36, and they're also showing a group of children that would have, some had passed and some had remained. The husband, she passed away before the husband. And there was a lot of anxiety about this. She was very, very sick, but she was still trying to get up and do stuff. And everybody was like, just, you know, please stay over there. Please lay down. Just do what you're doing. Just don't do nothing. But this person was still trying to mother and still trying to be in charge of the household when she was extremely, extremely sick. Because she was frantic about, you know, I can work through this. And I can distinctly hear, oh, this is horrible. I can hear like the body cart going down they're calling for bodies. I can hear that as it goes down the road. I don't even know.
Hey, we got a troll.
We have a troll?
We got a troll. I can't. Wait a minute. Maybe I can get him.
Hold on, I can get it from here. Oh,
There he
look
goes.
at the troll.
They're gone. Yeah.
We have this new thing on.
We have a troll, everybody. So pay no mind to that person.
He's gone.
I just blocked him.
And we have this new thing on here that he can never come back onto our restream feeds. So
he or she, as it was so fast. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. I caught him coming through the blue. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry. Go ahead and go.
Okay. So that is that strong mothering instinct right there. That is that I gotta keep going. I gotta keep struggling to keep and maintain. So what that is right there is make sure you're not taking on too much and not just exhausting yourself spiritually, emotionally, physically. Women tend to do this, right? We work because we need to keep up. We need to keep up. There's a lot on the plate as well. So we try to do that. Make sure you're not overworking yourself. And I want to talk about your flip side of the coin and the color yellow. I want to talk about the flip side of the coin there and the color yellow. Mr. Fry, you look frazzled. The flip side of the coin goes right up there with, I keep seeing yellow and I hear pinafores and I see pretty little lace overdresses, petticoats, really pretty little outfits. And very important because they were yellow shoes. There was yellow shoes involved with this. They had to be special made. They had to be specially made. And they're more like slippers than they are shoes. Oh, that's so adorable. Okay. So what I'm seeing is this little beautiful little yellow outfit. It is a dancing outfit. Those are not shoes. Those are ballet slippers. They're ballet slippers. She's a little dancer. She was studying very, very hard to be a dancer. And so when I first start seeing this little girl, I see her about 6 years old, and then they take her to 10 years old, and then they take her to 14 years old, and then they take her to 18 years old, in this same dress. So I know that what they're saying is she became a professional dancer. She became somebody that, hey, what are you doing, man? You're not getting sick on my carpet, are you? Okay. And they show her on point shoes. They show her up on point shoes. I know she was definitely a ballerina. It's interesting. This is sometimes how it happens, you guys. They're also talking about a layover from an early childhood issue. Okay, she had an early childhood issue where she had a very hard time hearing. She danced according to her vibration. She danced according to vibration, either in the air or through the floor. And I feel like she only went so far because of that, but she went far enough that she was on the stage in front of massive amounts of people. And I know that this is pre-electric. They keep showing me this stage that has candles and like mirrored little sconces. It's pre-electric. And there's something about her hearing deficiency, something about how she turned it to an advantage for herself personally. Like she didn't think of it as an issue. She thought of it as that it made her unique and that she had a talent that she could use this as a vibrational guide rather than actually hearing things. And I feel like she actually married well. I think she was well off anyways. I think she was part of a family that was trying to get her interested in something, get her out there, get her doing something. And she married well. She married very well. I do know that she passed away from some sort of chest issue, though. She had some sort of chest issue, like from breathing, like smoke or something along those lines. Long term. I don't know what the smoke would have been from. I don't know. Interesting past life. Very, very interesting. Using what we have, right? Our skills. moving on, Mr. Fry.
Yeah.
Next.
Okay, you ready for me?
I am ready for you.
April Zapp. April Lynn Zapp.
Okay.
Okay. You hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Just rely that I can hear you. Yes.
April Lynn Zapp. Z-A-P-A-F. She's like an
Okay.
Akashic.
Okay.
Okay, so just hold on just a second before you get going. Yeah. Okay, just a second. I'm. Okay. Okay. Just a second. April. It's April Lynn R. Okay.
Yeah.
That's who you're reading for.
Okay.
Okay. So I feel like an idiot because I've asked her twice now, and I don't remember what she said. Amber Allen, tell me what kind of reading you're looking for. And Sylvia T, I'm sorry, I missed what your reading was, and you're so far off the list now. I can't get back to it to see what you requested. So if you both could just reply with what kind of reading you were asking for, and Mary Reardon, you're good. Mary, you will be the last reading we do for this evening, though, and there's quite a few ahead of you. So have patience, everybody. Just a second here. Mary, one other thing, I didn't catch what you asked for. Where'd she go? Mary Reardon. Make sure I spell it right. Okay, so April's next. You're doing April now. Lisa Phillips is after her. Amber Allen, Lori Spears, Anna Perez, Sylvia T, Ashley Burgess, Nancy Bulliard, Dolores Puccio. Hope I said that right. Dana Cote or Nighthawk. Christine Kelly McLean and Mary Reardon. Kelly McLean, as in, yeah, Die Hard.
Oh.
Anyways, the movie Die Hard, the McLeans.
I better get moving. Okay.
So that's the
April.
list. That's who we have on the list. I'm going to go back and check the thing, make sure nobody got missed.
Okay. April.
Off. Go ahead.
So April, I want to talk. I keep seeing knock it off. I keep hearing singing. I keep hearing singing. Not the dog singing. Maybe he'll leave. I keep hearing choir. I keep hearing choir. Oh, interesting. Okay, interesting. You have quite a few sacred past lifetimes behind you. I don't know. I feel like I've had this conversation with you before. You have quite a few sacred past lifetimes behind you. I hear echoing. I hear echoing in the mountains. I know this is a male past life. I absolutely know it's a male past life, but I feel like it's somebody that was around a lot of singing like that. So I don't know if he was in charge of a church and there was choir going on. I do see stained glass. So I'm going to say this is actually a priest type of past life. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. So it is somebody that he was very honored to be guiding people. Very, very noble individual. When I think of Renaissance and I think of Catholic Church, it takes a southward dive pretty quickly for me, from Western Civ class and some of the teachings that I've learned. But this gentleman was more about making sure that I see that he wore pretty rough clothes. His I don't know what they call it. It wasn't beautiful. Like his stuff wasn't beautiful. He didn't wear all the pretty over pieces that all the priests wore. He wore very rough brown looking clothing, and it was as if he would spend his personal time out there handing out food. He also talked about the dirt. He talked. Oh, I understand. Thank you. There, the grounds where he lived, there was a lot of tillable ground, and instead of just planting for, he talks about stupid stuff like wine and things like that. He allowed people to come in from in the town area, and if they didn't have room to plant food, they would plant food and all tend it together within the grounds of where his church was. I want to also say he got in trouble for a lot of this stuff because he was breaking protocol with what everybody else expected. The other clergymen expected out of their people, and to be like, we have a united front of this is what's going to happen across the board, and he kind of broke from that. I feel like he studied very hard to do what he to enter the priesthood, and he was very proud of himself because he was more noble of heart than a lot of other people at his time frame, because this is very Renaissance. I hear rushes, and I hear walking on stone, and I hear straw. So that's one of my indications is it's Renaissance. And he wore one thing. He wore one piece of jewelry, and it was just a cross. That's all he wore. It was a solid cross. That was it. Nothing spectacular, nothing jeweled, nothing anything like that. That was his. And it's not like he took about poverty or anything. He just wanted to be able to. He would have felt bad if he had more, and people around him were suffering. And I get the name Edward with that, by the way. I get the name Edward. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, this is interesting. Really kind of interesting. I'm trying to figure out what they're trying to show me. It's working with brass and metal. I know there's somebody that worked with brass and metal, and they're talking about it's a male energy, and it is somebody that actually was they were inventing something. This is really very, really very. I mean, this is pretty precise. He's talking about, they're showing me buckets, firemen in buckets, bucketing water. And just there being a chain of water. It's that old. But this person actually helped figure out a way to pump water out of a tub. And he was one of the people that developed the nozzles for, this is so exact, developed the nozzles for the pump to help pump the water to create pressure. It was like if they did this, it made it go straighter. I have no idea. But it was like the way you turn the nozzle or how far you turned it would determine how far the water would go. I don't understand the mechanics behind it, but it's what they're showing me, and they're showing me like leaky hoses. They had hoses that didn't work quite right, so they struggled to get this together. They had to have the hose right. They had to have the nozzle right. If one didn't work, the other exploded. It was just the weirdest. It's the weirdest information that I'm getting on this, but it is like success the first time they actually get to do this. And I feel like they pumped it. I feel like they had pumping it, and they would put fires. They put the first fire out with this, and they felt like it was so successful. I don't even know when this.
That's going to be late. It's going to be late 1800s when they developed that technology.
Really?
if you ever go into a place that they have a long brass nozzle, it's always tapered down to a point. And the reason they do that is because you have the volume and the pressure, and as it gets condensed down through the nozzle, it gets more pressure. It builds up more pressure, and so it puts out a much stronger stream than say some of the more modern nozzles with a twist type, which fogs out or puts back into a like a stream. So, but they could get out with a lot more distance with them, and so I know this because I used to be a fireman years and years and years ago. So we had to understand that the fluid dynamics of how it all pumps. So blowing out the hoses becomes a back pressure problem, and that because the hoses used to be made out of cloth, and they didn't have rubber to.
If they pumped too much, the hose would explode, and if they didn't have enough water escaping, then the hose would explode.
It would build up back pressure and blow out the hose.
Right. Very cool. Very cool. So this individual in this past life for you, Ava, was the person that developed the efficient manner for that nozzle to be able to work and put out fires. So interesting. Very, very cool. Very cool. Something obviously you could probably look up. Absolutely. How cool is that? All right. Moving on. Isn't it neat when we get stuff like that? Because they talk about, saving lives. That's what this person was doing, was saving lives. Mm-hmm. So moving on, Mr. Fry.
Lisa Phillips.
Lisa Phillips. What kind of reading?
Yeah, Akashic. I'm sorry.
Akashic. Akashic. I know, right? What are you doing? Akashic.
Just pretty much everybody's an Akashic tonight. There's one coming down the list that's got two. So
okay. This dog
I'll let you know.
I have to get the squirt gun. See, look at that.
He has to go potty. He has to go potty.
Just came in. Okay.
Honey, you've been online for an hour now.
He's fine. He's fine. I want to talk about this type of motion, Lisa Phillips. I see somebody sitting next to the water. I don't know where I'm going with this yet. I just know I see somebody sitting next to water, crying and rocking back and forth like this. Or like this. It's more like this. Crying, walking, and rocking. Ooh, okay. Go lay down. The one thing I see about the water, she's sitting next to the water. It's not a river. It's like a pond. It's a flowing pond. It has a stream go through it, but it's just a flowing pond. And there's people in it. I do see that this is the aftermath of some sort of, the word I get right out, it's obvious. It's a massacre of some sort. I want to call this an older lifetime. I want to call this a plains type of Indian issue between tribal, tribal issues where they're trying to, you're on my property kind of thing. And it was a moment in time when food was a little bit more scarce. Like there was a drought. I think that there was some sort of drought going on because the water is very slow moving, and that makes it even more awful. But she's looking in the water thinking, how am I going to bury these people? How am I going to bury these people? And I think she was out of the village when this type of thing happened, because it was just it didn't matter who these people got. I know who the offending tribe was. I do know that, and I'm going to say it was something like the Crow. It's like I keep seeing straight up hair kind of things, what we would think of as Crow, feathers hanging out of it, and a lot of paint. I just keep hearing the Crow. So I don't know if that's how, if I'm getting that correct or not, but this woman was so stressed about how she was going to take care of her loved ones. And I hear a child crying. So I know that not everybody passed away. I hear a child crying. I'm trying to see what happened to this person. Not always are they happy, right, you guys? We just can't. Past lives are short, tragic sometimes, and just unpredictable. So when I start something like this, I never know where it's going to go. And I just feel like she walked and she walked and she walked and she walked, and this child's just crying and crying and crying because I don't feel like it's her child. And crying and crying and crying. And she finds herself on the outskirts of some sort of town or some sort of settlement. I don't feel like there's a lot of it's not a town. It's not a town. It's not a town. It's not a town. It's people. There's a bunch of people. Okay. I think that this is a situation where she went and just kind of was like, help me, help me, help me, because she was so desperate. And they took her in, but more of a secondary citizen. I would assume that they would have been more like, you're going to stay here. And if they had captured her, she would have been considered a slave. So that's probably type of situation that she fell into. But it was survival. It was survival, right? And I don't feel like they treated her horrible, but I just don't feel like it was. She never was herself. It was. They talk about her soul being right next to her rather than inside of her body. So it's soul. We're talking about major soul loss, almost as if she was a little bit displaced. But what it did though was it kept her a little bit safer. People didn't mess with her. And I just feel like she lived, her life out that way with not a lot of human connection, just because she had so much trauma that mentally had a hard time processing. I actually think I have a name for this lady. They keep saying little star. Little star. I don't know what they would have called a star. It was little. It's little, and then they keep showing me a star. Whatever that would have been, they would have called her. Whatever their name for that would have been what they called her. But it was like little star. Interesting. Let's move on. Oh, okay. All right, fine. We'll go back. I'm also supposed to tell you that she never did get her people buried. That was a huge source of her guilt and why she was never, like, she had a hard time coming back to self. She feel like she failed them, and that's a big burden in that lifetime. Was she felt like she failed people, and when she feels like she fails somebody, she just can't handle it, and that would something probably would convey into this lifetime as well. Failure is just a horrible thing, like that kind of thing. Okay, let's move on. Okay, okay. I don't know what we're going to do there, but we're going to do something there. I have a male and a male past life, and I have a person standing in water. More water. I have a person standing in water, very still, very patient. They are fishing. My first thought was, where the hell are we at? But I really feel like we're like on the Amazon. I feel like we're in the middle of a rainforest. We're well deep into jungle. There's a lot of canopy. There's not a lot of sunlight. It's all very, very shady. And this person is standing. It's so weird. He's standing at the edge of the shadow of the trees in the water. And he is just waiting and waiting and waiting. He's waiting for dinner is what he's doing. He's fishing with like a vine attached to a what do we call that thing? A lance type of situation. He's spearfishing. It's an odd situation. I don't know if they've done this or did this or whatever, but it's almost like he needs to bring in so many fish a day. That's kind of like his quota to help feed everybody. It's a situation where the whole village feeds each other. Would they all? There's like a mass dinner in the evening where everybody brings their food together and they all eat to ensure that everybody in area is fed. Wouldn't that be amazing, right? They want to make sure everybody was fed and nobody goes without. So it is a very cooperative area. I want to also say that I don't feel like this general population that they're talking about right now is actually a population of individuals that is very assimilated into modern culture nowadays. I feel like this is a lifetime where that population still shirks off a lot of modern stuff. I'm sure there's modern stuff that filters in, but they would prefer to still be very, very solitary and take care of their own people, because taking care of their own is very, very important to them. So they have like, it's like an assigned thing, very much like kind of in like Hawaii is with their sections of the island. Like one person in one section of the island made one thing and another did another thing, and then they all intertraded to make sure everybody was taken care of. Not to make sure everybody was taken care of, but to make sure that everybody was productive. But this was, everything was put on the table in the evening and everybody ate. It was just amazing. And that's all they cared about. Like, let's make sure everybody has their needs met, and then everything was happy. A very, very happy individual. This person was just standing there being so super patient, going, it's not like he was stressed about it. He's like, there's plenty of food. I just have to bring it. That's all. I have to bring it. And it was all about taking care of family, and that release of pressure of having, there's no pressure. There's just the beautiful being out in nature and bringing it in. Really, really cool lifetime. And when I say, well, what kind of family do we have? Do we have, a lot of children? He said, they're all our children. We're going to go right to that. It takes a village to raise a child kind of thing. It's like, they're all of our children. Well, these may have come from, me, but what makes mine any more important than another? Really, really cool lifetime. Really cool lifetime. This is fairly old as well, because there's like no knowledge of anybody on the outside. This is their world. It's their world. Very cool. Very, very cool. Mr. Fry, moving on.
Amber Allen would like an Akashic reading, please.
Amber Allen.
I just sent you a message, too.
She sent me a message? Oh, okay.
No, I sent you a message.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm looking. Okay. So Amber, I want to talk about Amber, you have royalty in your background. I don't know if you are aware of that, but like, I very, very rarely give readings where I say, I think you have royalty, because there's not, you can only have so many Cleopatras, right? But this is very much a situation where you had very, very beautiful gowns, a lot of beautiful green gowns. I want to talk about green velvet, plush fabrics. And I feel like when you walked, people would, on either side of the aisle, people would be like this. So this is definitely, and let's see what kind of time frame I get. I get, I don't know who. Like in the 1500s, 1600s, there's a conflict. I know there's a conflict between a female trying to lay claim on something, and a guy saying, no, not for you. You're a woman, not for you. You're not worthy, kind of thing. I have no idea the history behind it. I just know that she's trying to lay claim to something that somebody else doesn't feel like she should claim. I don't know if somebody passed away. I don't even know the whole situation. I just know that there's military involved in it, and that people helped her, and she was very well sought after. She was like, it was elegance. There was a lot of elegance around her. I keep hearing Ed. And she goes like, I won one. I won one. And it was the one that mattered. I don't know what that means. I just know that she's talking about people falling down in waves around her. There was a lot of death around this situation. I don't know what the situation is. I just know there's a lot of death around it. Gosh, they keep someone look up when Mary Queen of Scots was trying to take the throne. So I keep hearing. So it's like that type of situation. I don't feel like she lived out a full life. I don't. I feel like something happened that she passed away fairly young.
She came to power in the year 1542.
Okay.
December 14th, to be quite exact.
Okay. There we go.
And
I really like that. I really do.
She was no longer queen after July 24th, 1567.
Okay. I keep hearing Mary Queen of Scots.
25 years.
Yeah, I keep hearing Mary Queen of Scots, but I don't feel like she lived very long. I just it just feels like a short-lived kind of situation. Interesting. That is so cool, right? So I just they talk about that feeling that, you know, there's so much more out there. There's so much more out there, reaching for so much more.
She was 45 years old when she died.
Okay. Interesting, right? Okay, so let's move on from that one because I don't get any more information. They're just like, this is what you need to know. And you can do some research on her. I have no background on her at all. I just keep hearing Mary Queen of Scots. So maybe look into some background and see if any of that resonates and goosebumps you up. So let's move on to the next one. They want to talk about a little girl. They want to talk about another short-lived, but this is a really short-lived life. This is a she ate something. Okay, she passed away at the age of 8. Is all I know. I feel like this is maybe down in Africa or I keep seeing South America, Africa, that type of situation where there's just a lot of jungle, there's a lot of issues, there's a lot of things that people are fighting a lot. It was almost like a competition who could agitate the other person more, the other people more. But her passing had nothing to do with that actually at all. But that's just how they're trying to get me the information. Like people are slings and arrows and all sorts of stuff like that. But this young girl ate something. Like she ate something, and the crappy part is I feel like somebody gave it to her. Like I think that like an adult gave it to her. Oh, this is important. Okay, an adult gave it to her to eat and didn't realize that it might have been poisonous, and she passed away. And the guilt for that adult was horrible, horrible. But I feel like she ate some sort of poisonous food. And what the food was. I'm just trying to figure out what the lesson from this lifetime was. And they're just like, you know, the trust issue. It's almost like a trust issue kind of thing. Like, oh my God, I ate this. You gave this to me. I ate this and I'm super, super sick. That kind of thing. Oh yeah, well, I guess maybe it's got some. Okay. Yeah, trust issue. It's a trust issue. So she didn't live past 8, but the adult felt horrible. The adult felt horrible. Okay, moving on. Mr. Fry.
Oh, so that was Amber. Lori Spears, and she would like an Akashic as well.
Okay. Mary Queen of Scots. That's really cool, right? I'm kind of impressed with that. Okay, Lori Spears. You know what? Come in here and look at me like that is not going to help you. Give me a minute. Lori Spears. I want to talk about Beethoven. I keep hearing music in the background, like minuets and pianofortes, and I'm not certain it's Beethoven, but I'm heading in that direction. What makes this really, really interesting, it's going to be Beethoven. I know I'm not saying you're Beethoven. What I'm saying is that you were very closely associated into the family of that, like the people making that music, with helping him make music and the orchestrations and conducting of music and bringing it to the public, that kind of thing. Because this is what I keep hearing. This is what I keep hearing. Right? Conducting music. I feel like you were somebody that helped bring music to the population. Buford, you better knock it off. Which is really, really interesting because I just happen to know who reincarnated after who was Beethoven. I know who was Beethoven, right? Some of our really incredible modern music come from reincarnations of Beethoven, which would have been Prince. Prince had a lifetime as Beethoven, had the past life as Beethoven. So that's really, really interesting that you gravitated that close to somebody and work very closely with that type of energy to bring music to the masses, which kind of falls into what you do. Well, you're a teacher of music now, so that kind of that absolutely falls into that. But there was a particular instrument you couldn't stand the sound of, and I feel like it is actually, I almost feel like it's the like the clarinet, like the squeak of that clarinet. I can hear it, like it ground on the ear, like when somebody would squeak on that reed, or I don't even know that clarinet was that type of situation, but it reminds me of that. It reminds me of that type of instrument. I don't think it's a clarinet, but it's that squeak of that particular type of instrument that just, it was very, very grating on the nerves. I don't think there was clarinets back then at all. I think it was a sound that, was there clarinets back then? Really? I don't know. It's just a squeak.
When?
Beethoven. I don't know what year Beethoven was. What year?
Yeah, they had woodwinds. They had woodwinds back then.
I don't know that there were clarinets. I don't know, but it was that sound. It was that squeaky reed sound. You know what I'm talking about? That sound. But this person, I do want to say that this person liked the choir. Okay, not the choir, the orchestra. Very much a womanizer. This person was very, very much a womanizer. Liked to be seen. This person had, like, they were overinflated. They were very overinflated. Like, look what we're bringing to the public. We're awesome. Boom, that kind of thing. And he did like to be seen, and he wanted the applause. He wanted the applause. I don't feel like he married. I think he might have been with the opposite sex. I think not with the opposite. I think he was gay. They show that by the vibrations that come off of somebody. But he kept up public persona. Interesting. It's like there's one song but more than others that really stir. Interesting. Okay, moving on to the next. Let's move on to the next one. Okay. So this is totally different. This is totally different. I'm looking to, I'm kind of like, okay, we're talking male, we're talking female. What are we going to do here? And I get a judge. I get a judge. I get somebody that is looking down on a massive amount of people. So this is somebody that judged a lot of people in his time. I actually feel like this is more Inquisition, or it's a religious type of thing where they're judging other people. And this person did this with no thought. Like, he didn't care. He didn't care. If you don't think the way I think, this is the way this is going. I don't want anybody on here to think that when we're doing Akashic's life past lives, that this is how this is their pattern in their life. We go through moments where we go through deep amounts of learning, right? And this person went through a deep amount of learning. At the very end of their life, when you do that flash, like, I'm almost to the point where I'm done with my lifetime. What have I done with it? And you can look back and you see all of the things that you have done that you knew in your heart at that moment were right. It was very, very hard for this person to feel as if, because they were very church oriented, that they were going to go to heaven. And they lived in the last couple, like the last year of their lifetime, very, very sick and very afraid. The other thing I have to say about this is I actually feel like in the very close to the end, when they were very sick and they were coming apart physically, that they were visited by Gabriel, by Archangel Gabriel, and spoken to about to bring this person to more sense of peace. And that's pretty much what this person did, was beg for information that they would be okay, because they repented constantly. And when I say this person was a judge, it doesn't mean that they were just hateful. He thought he was protecting the church. He thought he was doing what was right for the church. So he was very, very devoted. He just did the wrong thing, put a lot of people to death through the Inquisition. Sorry. It happens. Not anymore, but it did. Okay. Mr. Fry, moving on.
Anna Perez, and she gets an Akashic and a totem.
All right. Interesting.
Sylvia T., you're up in the batter's box next.
Anna Perez. I want to talk about a seal. I want to talk about letting this dog out before it drives me nuts. I'll be right back.
He heard my voice and he said it was time to I gotta go. So hi everybody. So glad everybody's here tonight. I'd monologue, but I really don't have a whole lot to say tonight. So hopefully the weather's nice at the house there, so that when he goes out, she doesn't leave him out for a while. How is everybody tonight? He is very persuasive. He's very persuasive. He's like that little kid that'll go, Mom, 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 Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. That's my little buddy, though. We can hear you, Fry. Oh, will I be in trouble for that later?
Awesome.
Might not be in trouble for it later. I might be in trouble right now.
Trouble for it right now. Okay. So
Miss Vicky Roop. Miss Vicky Roop. Yes, I am actually. I am actually. I have to report out there on the 24th. I'm sorry, the 26th. I have to report on the 26th. So I am, I'm kind of jacked up about it. I'm looking forward to it. So for those of you that don't know, or I already talked too much about it, but I just accepted a new job out in New Mexico in the Santa Fe area. So I will be moving myself out there here in the next few weeks for a short time until Mrs. Fry and I can get a place established out there, and we're going to probably relocate for the next 5 years. So Santa Fe, New Mexico. From what I understand, it's kind of like the Sedona of New Mexico. So it'd be interesting. Be very interesting to see how that goes. So, Mrs. Fry, you are with Anna Perez.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And please don't forget about my little buddy as soon as you're done with her.
I left the door open for his little buddy.
Perfect. That's perfect.
Yes. Right. Okay.
Okay.
Anna Perez, I want to go back to that seal. I want to talk about the fluidity with which you can take in lessons and release stuff as well. So it just feels like there's moments that you are just like, you kind of head into things and you may not think so much about how the end result is going to be, but you're always trying to help other people, whether it be with intuition. I don't know what you do for a living, but you could be working intuitively if you don't do that. You have a lot come in and go. So if you find that you have a hard time remembering everything that you have to write lists down and write stuff down, that I find that to be something, as I talk to other intuitives, that is a common trait, that we kind of bring things in and we let it go back out pretty quickly. So I really feel like you have some intuition behind you that you could be using if you're not doing it now. I also feel like you hear from the other side. So sometimes this is going to transition into more than just animal totems. I feel like you get messages from the other side and a lot of images, not images, maybe so much as vibrations. So you should be paying attention to that. But that water sign definitely also, once again, goes over to that being an intuitive. Why are we talking about constellations? I'm searching the constellations. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Thank you. Leo, we're going to talk about Leo the lion. We're going to have that lion energy within your energetic field. I also would not mess with any of your loved ones. I would definitely steer clear of that, because I really feel like you are a great defender of your family and anybody that you take under your wing. So not just family, but if you find somebody is being victimized, that you are the person that's like, hey, you know what? Let's deal with this. Now, make sure you're not taking this to a fault where you're not allowing other people to fight their own battles, because that could be very a big deal as well, where your energy is so big that somebody is not having to work to get their own self-esteem going or their own self-defense going as being an outgoing individual. So make sure you're not overshadowing anybody with that. So let's move on over into and the reason I say that is part of that is because they're talking about it being in the constellation and the stars being such a big thing, because you're a great defender. You also make a lot of sense when you're trying to explain things to people, that this is why this is right. So with that, let's move on to Akashic. I want to talk about you being a scribe. I want to talk, they absolutely show you writing things down in big flourishing letters. So I feel like this is something you might have done professionally in a past life, where you actually, your handwriting was desirable and you would write notes for people. I don't know if this was a profession or not, but it's like it was like you were somebody's secretary, and your one thing was to write beautiful invitations for people. And the ink that you used was a special, like it was your ink. It had a special color to it, and it was a part of a calling card. And I just see you sitting in this. Oh, this is definitely a gosh, feels like a female past life. It looks like a female past life, but she's sitting and she's not dressed real dressy. She's working, and I just see at this like a secretary desk, and big flourishes one after the other. Write it down. Same thing. It's like she's doing invitations, and her handwriting was so beautiful, and her skills were so great that people would like hire her. Can we borrow her? Can we hire her off of you? That kind of thing. So they would, she kind of went from household to household to do things and write invitations for people. I've never seen or heard of that kind of a job. But I feel like she was not a really young woman. She maybe was a widow that didn't have a lot of ties, and she was somebody was just really smart. Also, I have to say that this was not in Europe at all. This was in our South. This was in the South. Because as I'm doing this and I'm talking about this, I see Spanish moss on trees. They're like, look at this, Spanish moss on trees. So I know this was part of the probably the grand ball era of being in the Old South. Interesting. And this person felt very independent. They felt very independent. They didn't rely on anybody else. This person made money doing this, and this is how they supported themselves. Interesting. Okay. Moving on to the next past life. Let's see what we have. All right. I want to talk about Rome. Okay, yeah, that's Rome, the Colosseum, Rome. Okay, I want to talk about Rome. It definitely has to do with the Colosseum. This is a more of a slave lifetime, and as a young female, and her one job, her sole job, is to bring food and water to the people that were, I guess they would have been considered the gladiators, or the people, or the fighters, or the people that were going to be going out into the Colosseum. And that was her one job. Was she would go gather the food from wherever they made it for them, and she would feed everybody. It took her all day. There were so many people that she would be doing this for, that she did it all day long. She did it all day long. I want to say she had some sort of limp in her right leg. I feel like she had some sort of cut that she had received, and it got infected. So it actually caused a hip problem for her. She had a significant limp from this. And it made her look defective. Like, she didn't look defective, but it made her, the people picked on her like they were ruthless. They were ruthless. They would pick on her, and it caused huge problems. She was like, try to hide herself from people. Huge self-esteem problems might have stemmed from this, from a younger age, when you were younger. But this particular lifetime, she really struggled. She really struggled just to get her job done. If she didn't get her job done, I feel like there was like, she would be beat, or there would be a problem because people weren't getting fed and they couldn't fight properly. And they actually treated those people like they were dogs, make sure they're fed so they can fight, but I feel like she passed away from some sort of infection. This limp actually was a much deeper type of issue, like it was in the bone or something. And this is what actually caused her to pass away. And I know that she passed away kind of slow. She had a huge, huge fever, and nobody cared. I mean, it's like, go do your work, go do your work. And she would just keep going. And I think she just fell out right there on this narrow pathway. It's like this narrow pathway. I just see her going back and forth. And she fell on this narrow pathway, and actually, it feels like a seizure of some sort, and passed away there. I know sometimes they're just not pretty, right? But yeah, that would have been a ruthless time frame. Okay, Mr. Fry, moving on. Oh, never mind. It's okay. It's Sylvia T, and she's Akashic, right?
Yes, and keep an eye on your messages, because I keep sending you messages, and I know you're focusing, but
yeah.
Well, keep the messenger up so you can see it, baby.
Okay.
I love you.
I don't. Just okay. Okay, moving on. Sylvia T. Who's after Sylvia T?
My apologies. Yes, Ashley Burgess is in the batter's box after Sylvia,
Okay.
and then Nancy Bulliard's after Ashley.
Okay.
Nancy gets a totem.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sylvia. Sylvia. I'm trying to see where the singing's coming from. I hear one individual singing. It's a woman singing. I feel like it's very in the woods. I hear some sort of primitive type of instrument. It sounds like a very hollow drum, almost like a very, very out of tune drum in the background. I want to say this is Celtic in nature. And this is pretty old. This is I'm gonna say, gosh, I really want to say this is Druid. It has this very nature element feel to it, and I just keep hearing this hollow drumming, this hollow thunk drumming, and people walking through the woods with gifts. They're walking with sacred gifts, and there it's just a group of people. There's a group of women doing this and a group of men. So there's like two lines of people, and they're meeting in the middle and they're doing some sort of ceremony where they're exchanging gifts. I'm not quite sure. There's a large amount of people doing this, over 10 on either side. It sounds like it looks like some sort of sacred type of situation. Okay. And then they pull a card. They show me a tarot card on this. Also, they talk about the star. I don't know what the association, it must be some sort of celestial event going on, that there's some sort of Celtic ceremony going on about it. And they talk about where the light falls. It's got to be some equinox or something along those lines, because they're talking about where the light falls through a hole on a rock. It's some sort of time device, primitive timekeeper kind of thing. It was so interesting because it's like when it's a full circle, it is one thing, and then when there's a little, it almost looks like a crescent. There's another thing going on in the season. It's the weirdest situation. I'm trying to figure out what the heck it is, but it is one hole that they have positioned, that when the sun's in the sky at a certain point, it does this, because this is happening during the daylight. And I know that it's in the summertime, springtime, there's flowers. They're handing flowers and food back and forth. But the singing, actually, I have to say it's you singing. I know that you're singing in this. That's why I hear the singing so strongly. I know that you're part of the people that are singing. Gosh, it's such a crystal sound. The singing is a crystal sound, and it almost as if they're talking to nature. It's like they're talking to nature spirits or the nature elementals. But that star, maybe it's the star positioning in the sky. I keep seeing the women have flowers in their hair. Okay, I understand. Thank you. They're showing me three cards: past, present, future. They're talking about timelines. They're talking about maiden, mother, and crone. It is definitely pagan, in obviously that's Wiccan, but we still have the seasons maiden, mother, and crone go through all of the pagan religions. So I know it's old. It's Druid. It's like druid priestess type of situation. So healer, community leader, that type of thing. It's like the double side of the coin, the second side of the coin. Interesting. Definitely healer, works with herbs. Definitely a healer that works with herbs and deep vibrations with the earth and moving forward. Interesting. All right, let's move on. Huh. Okay. So I have another one. This one is more of the watch and wait, the hunter, the let's bring food to the table kind of individual. This particular one, it's really interesting because I see exactly what they're doing. I know what they're doing, and they're laying in the tall grass. And this is pre-horses in the United States. It is, well, not the United States, it's North America, but it's definitely pre-horse. Everybody's running. Everybody runs everywhere. They do show that they're very strong runners. But they're laying in the grass and they're doing the buffalo jump. If you're not aware of what a buffalo jump is, it's where they take a select amount of buffalo and they will herd them and they would run them off of, well, maybe they did have horses. Maybe they just did it on feet. I don't know. Because I see a horse. But they would bring the buffalo and they would funnel them and they would just run them off a cliff. And then the rest of the village would would be at the bottom of the cliff and they would harvest as much as they could from the buffalo that they pushed over the jump. So this is one of the people that was laying in the grass, and when they would be funneling them through, they would jump up and the buffalo would scare the crap out of the buffalo, and they would stay in their lane. They keep going. This is young male energy. And they call him something like they keep showing me two teepees, like two different teepees, like he lived in two different places. So maybe he was a traveler between villages. I don't know. They keep calling him two teepees, and they show, because I was kind of questioning it a little bit. Yeah, question your guides. Why not, right? And they said no, and they showed two, and then two teepees, two homes, basically is what they're calling him. Two, like he's a traveler kind of guy. I believe he had a special skill. That's why he did that. He had some sort of skill that for creating something, and it had to do with the buffaloes. He had some way of rendering something on the buffaloes that made a useful tool, and he was really good at it. And he would go around and show other people how to do it. So he was an educator. He was somebody that went around and helped other people construct what they needed. And it was like tweaking tools that they'd already had to like make them better and sharper or stronger or whatever. But he did help instruct other people on how to move forward and be more efficient. That was a big deal. Being efficient was a big deal because there'd come a point when the buffalo weren't available anymore and they would have to go travel and they would have to go move to be in warmer weather or whatever. And they had to be very efficient packing everything up because they only could take what they needed. And if they needed less tools because one thing was multi-purpose or whatever, then they were more efficient in traveling. Yeah. So he was very sought after. I also say that his family went with him, and he talks about having a large family. He's like, it's hard to feed all these people. So they were constant hunters. They were very well and very proficient at taking care of themselves. And he talks about old age, living to be a good old age and tell stories. He was a storyteller for his family. So really interesting. Really interesting. That's awesome. Okay. Mr. Fry, never mind. I'm moving on. We're moving on to Ashley Burgess. Don't forget you guys, mymysticallife.com. Hi, how are you? I haven't done any of that this evening, right? I'm just reading on. I'm looking. Let's see. Okay. So I have a male past life for Ashley. I know this is some sort of, gotcha, thank you. I know this is some sort of concussion to the head. It is definitely a fighter's life. It is somebody that was on foot all the time. They wore. I hear clankiness. I hear chainmail. Actually, I know what the sound of chainmail is because where one of our kids makes it. It sounds like chainmail or metal type of protective clothing. This person would have been somebody that was, I don't want to call them military. They were foot soldiers. They were foot soldiers and carried large, like, okay, not a long sword, but a shorter type of sword. I kind of feel like this might be Roman. And we're going to go right back to Rome on this, just because this person, because of the type of armor that's like clink, 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 clink on them. And this type of sword they're showing me is like I like forged in fire. And it looks like one of the Roman swords. It has a certain look to it. But the thing that I'm getting about this is they're talking about the helmet on the head, that it didn't do a very good job protecting this person's head, and it kind of caved in. And this person, this I can specifically see that this person has blood coming down under their helmet, but there's some sort of concussion or some sort of, it has to be broken open underneath the helmet, and the helmet's not coming off. And this person is just very sick feeling and headache. Oh, I get this huge headache on the right side of my head. It's almost like from my ear back here. And so I know he actually passed away from whatever happened. It was some sort of brain issue that he had his head hit by something major, some kind of mace or some sort of major, war tool that had caused a huge problem for him. And I know that it was a very serious trauma, because the first thing I picked up, actually, before I picked up the actual head trauma, was I wanted to get sick. Like there was a feeling like I wanted to just, because it was so much shock going into that guy's system that it was very, very overwhelming. His moments right before he passed away were very violently ill. And what he's in the thing that's about this, and this is why they tell us these things, because they can be gruesome, right? Who wants to hear all the gruesomeness? But what he's talking about is, why am I in this fight? I mean, he was actually thinking this, through his muddled thoughts at that moment. Why was I even here? Why was I even here? Why do I find myself in this spot in this moment? What brought me to here? And that's kind of what they're doing right now, is they're kind of dropping this in front of you to go, why are you, if you're in the middle of something right now, why are you where you're at? If you're not happy where you're at, or if you're not happy with where your progress is, then you're the only one that can change it, and change either your location or change your status, or whatever you need to do to change in your life to bring forward progress. And that's really what that is about. It's not about, look, you died a gruesome death. It's about, this guy was going, hey, what the hell am I doing here? What am I doing here? I could have been, trying to build viaducts or aqueducts or whatever they were, over someplace else, but I chose to do this. And so they're saying, make sure you pay attention to your own choices, because they bring you to where you are in your life. Okay. Next one. Let's move on to the next reading for that one. That is, okay, we're going to stay in the same area. So your soul actually has a peculiarity, not a peculiarity, that's not the right word. It's particular. It likes Europe, especially Greece. It likes that Mediterranean-y kind of area over there. So we're going to go right back to Rome again, because they want to show the flip side of things. Your soul likes to do this. Okay, we did it this way. Let's figure out the other way now. Let's see the flip side of the coin. Your soul likes to do this pretty quickly. So it goes out and it's very industrious in learning its lessons. I also say that your soul likes male incarnations. It likes to feel like it can run things and be in charge. Mine does too. So that's my husband. But it likes to be a list checker and make sure that everything is working properly. So your soul does like male incarnations for that reason. But this is the other side of that coin, where this is somebody that would have been in more of charge of making decisions about where the military would have been at any given time. And the lack of compassion that this person had as them being human units instead of just part of an army that we're going to set him over there. And I kind of get the image of Hercules, was it Hercules, Perseus, in Clash of the Titans, where Zeus is moving around the little clay figures, and they don't mean a thing to him because he has no real investment in them other than they're a force. And that's what they're showing me here, is that within the Roman government, this person, that's what they did, is they directed armies with very little regard for where people went. And that was more of a lifetime where that person just didn't pay attention, and they just went, you know what, they're going to go over there, and then I'm not going to consider them human at all. And he was very, very wrapped up in his own personal garbage. And I actually feel like he died young. I don't feel like he lived past maybe 37 years old, because he felt very empowered and very, I'm in charge and I'm telling these people what they have to do. And he pissed somebody off, and they just kind of, they took him out. So two sides of a coin. One person's like, why am I fighting this? The other person's like, I don't care why you're fighting it. It's just because I want you to, and you're going to be here. And so it was double lessons there. Just flip sides of lessons. Really, really interesting. So, but your soul does like Rome and Greece. And I bet if I dug, I could find a whole lot more Rome and Greece in there, because it just keeps going. I could revolve right back there. Okay, let's move on to Nancy Bulliard. And Nancy Bulliard wants an animal totem. Nancy Bulliard, I want to talk about, okay, we're going to go a little bit interdimensionally here. We're going to, I like doing interdimensional when I come to animal totems. Every once in a while, we run across something really fascinating, right? And I want to talk about a griffin. I want to talk about duality, and this is kind of like a couple of animal totems wrapped up in one, right? I want to talk about that positive, really incredible, moving forward type of energy. When I talk about interdimensional, I'm talking about sixth dimension and above, you guys, where, we're talking Sasquatch, we're talking all those mythological creatures that nobody can seem to find, but you don't see a whole lot of griffins running around, right? Thank goodness, because a lot of people crap themselves. But this is a blend, right? This is a mix of a couple different animals, and they're talking about that I believe it's an eagle. I believe it's an eagle and a lion, I think is the griffin, because that's what I see as the like the eagle head and the lion's tail. That's all I kind of see about it. But they're talking about how you can be so incredibly loyal and fight for people, and you see beyond bullshit. And that's a big deal with this particular animal totem. And they talk about the third eye with this one as well. And the only reason I know that, because Griffin doesn't have a third eye that I know of, but that I can see. But I'm talking about this, I get a little spacey, and I kind of want to drift off. So I think that you kind of contain yourself a little bit more than you should. If you were to just release and let go and just step into your intuition, I think that you would be able to work quite well interdimensionally. And they talk about that as being a I see Mr. Tomlinson, Miss Tomlins, from Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, that type of metaphysical type of interdimensional being. So you could be working closely with elementals and with those beings like that as well. But now we want to talk often about, we're going to move off and talk about a leopard. We're going to talk about a leopard. So now we're moving away from interdimensional over to more, here we are. But the leopard has a lot to do with being in the background and paying attention to what you have going around you, and being the one that steps up eventually after everybody kind of thought you were super quiet and go, I don't like that. I don't think you're right. And you will stand up for what's right, and you'll just kind of melt into the background until you have an opinion that you feel like you need to share. And then with this, I'm talking about your throat chakra being really bright blue. So make sure that you're not overusing your throat chakra and voicing too much, because it could also come back to bite you in the ass in the long run, where someone's like, and you are so quiet about some of the things that you want to have come across. You don't want to come across all of like word vomit and just have it all come out, and maybe not come out exactly the right way you wanted to say it. So make sure you're paying attention to that. When you have that overly bright throat chakra, you might find that you just throw things out there sometimes. So just kind of moderate some of the things that come out, because there's going to be a lot of people that don't realize that you are as talented and as outspoken as you are, because you do kind of sit back a little bit sometimes, and you're kind of quieter in social situations. That's what they're talking about, social situations. So I hope that was helpful. Now I have to breathe. 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 When I get on a roll, you guys, it just spirit's gone. We're talking. Mr. Fry. Mr. Fry. That was Nancy Bulliard. Who are we moving on to next?
Next on the list, Johnny,
It's
is
next.
Dolores
Pacheco.
Right. Dolores Pacheco. No, it's not Pacheco. It's Puccio. Puccio. It's Puccio. It's not Pacheco.
Okay.
Yeah. And then so she's getting Akashic, and then Dana Cote, and Christina Franz. All three are getting what?
Nothing. I was just
Yeah.
scrolling through, and I'm looking.
Come
at
on down. You're the next contestant.
I'm looking at
Puccio. Okay. Sorry,
Gotcha.
I tried to say it right.
It's good. It's got all good. Okay. I just saw a couple comments. I'm laughing, and somebody was like, "I don't think I can run a buffalo down." Okay. What are all these? Give me those people again.
Dolores, what you're doing right now, Dana Cote, right. And then Christina Franz. And then there's three more after them. And then that's it for tonight.
Okay.
And everybody else is getting Akashics.
These are animal totem?
No. I just said they're all getting Akashics.
You have a real tone.
You have no idea what tone is.
There.
Hey, the cherry blossoms are blooming in Washington, down in DC right now. So
I don't get to go see them.
I don't either. I don't even care to. I just want to get out of here and come home.
I hear you. Okay, Dolores.
I've seen them before.
Oh, have you? I haven't. Okay, Dolores. I want to talk about. It just kind of hit me. That's why I was like, I need to move forward. I want to talk about a lifetime as a female. Oh, gotcha. I gotcha. Everything hurts. Oh God. And it feels like my lungs are right here. Like I'm almost heart attack status. Like you just can't breathe. You just can't breathe. Because any women know where I'm going with this, because it just is an overwhelming feeling of being cinched up with your lungs so tight and up here that you can't barely breathe because your heart feels like it's compressed. Don't know how this really feels in person because I've never really worn anything like that tight, but this is a corset that is pulled so tight that this woman can barely breathe. And guess what? Who is the fellow on the screen? The fellow on the screen is my husband. She's used to it. She's used to living in pain. And she's like, I don't feel the pain. I just live like this. And this person has their waist cinched down so tight that they can barely breathe, but they have adjusted themselves to it and they live with it and think it's normal. So what I could say about your lifetime now is you probably have, you may have said once or twice in your life, I have a fairly decent pain threshold. I can handle pain. I can handle situations, that are uncomfortable, things like that. Not a lot bothers me, and you kind of let things fall off you like a water on duck, right? But I have to say that this would have caused issues with you on a soul, as a soul memory kind of thing, soul loss, as never fully being able to take a breath. You know how important it is for us to be able to take a breath and really get a good breath going in. So this would have caused some back issues, maybe a lot of I bet you carry a lot of stress in your shoulder, maybe some neck issues as well. This person actually died from having a heart attack because their heart couldn't pump efficiently because everything was moved up. There was not enough breath, not enough oxygen, not enough circulation. It just feels like this person, I can hear the white, and didn't that sound weird? It's like white in my ears. Like I can hear white. That's what this person's like. It's white. I can hear so much roaring in my ears. It's just incredible. So when this person went to pass away, the thing that I get is she just had a heart attack and passed away in the middle of a social setting. It scared the crap out of a lot of people. I do know that she was probably moving. Looks like she was dancing something very, very beautiful, and she was flowing, but she was ignoring the things that were going on. Her ears were buzzing, and she was like getting flashes of white in front of her eyes, and she just kept going and going and going because it was socially acceptable. She was doing what was proper. She was making sure everything looked perfect because that's what was expected of her. That's why her waist was so small. It's because she let herself be cinched up where other women, she was like, it's disgraceful that their waist isn't so super tiny as mine. That kind of thing. I even believe she wore this while she was pregnant. I mean, it just feels like so much compaction that there's no room to grow. And but she did. She fell out on the floor in some sort of ballroom situation and just died because she refused to listen to her body. She followed what convention was and didn't listen to her body. So this is your guide saying, hey, make sure you're listening to your body. Don't pay attention to what so and so says or whatever. If you don't feel it's right for you, don't do it. Okay. If you don't feel like it's right for you, don't do it. And also, if you drink soda, I hate these. I don't like these. I have a guide over here going, if you're drinking soda, stop drinking soda. Stop the caffeine. They're really, I hate to tell anybody that. But sometimes guides come across with that. And when they do come across with it, I like to pass it across because they're telling it for a reason. They usually do that for a reason. Okay. So if you're drinking a lot of soda, at least cut back. But this person actually had some heart issues and from that, and I lung issues, obviously, that it was just been smushed. Would have been smushed. With that being said, I just really feel like this person loved beautiful things in life. They wanted to dance, they wanted to be pretty, they wanted to do the things that pleased other people. Don't be a people pleaser. This is not necessary. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next one because that one she probably lasted till like I get the number 43. I get the number 43. So she was fairly aged for her time period, but still young, right? Still young. I feel like there was a problem. She had maybe 2 children and then she lost them both. Like they were born and then they didn't survive. A lot of heartache in that lifetime. Okay, moving on to another lifetime. What the hell is that? I'm trying to figure it out. Trying to figure it out because they're in the air. It's almost like hang gliding, like not successfully, but hang gliding, like from very low altitudes. Run, 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 run. Take off a little bit. Take off a little bit, and then come back down. I can't even do that. I can't do that. I guess I'm gonna do that. That is so hokey. Okay. Not necessarily run, 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 but almost like pedal, 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 pedal is some sort of contraption. Like they're trying to take off. This is not the Wright brothers, folks. Okay. This is not the Wright brothers. This is somebody trying to do the same thing that they did, though. I feel like it was before that it was somebody trying to get forward motion to be able to pick themselves up with some sort of canvas type contraption that they had attached to their whatever they were going forward on. This person considered themselves an inventor and an ingenious person that was going to bring about the change to humanity. I understand why too, because as I'm looking at this individual, this is a male past life. As I'm looking at this individual, and so much work went into this, like so much thought, so much energy, so much work went into this, and they're going forward and they're like, I can be free. Can you see the correlation here? Can you see the correlation? I can be free. I can do whatever I want to do. I can be in the air if I really put my mind to it. I can do anything I want to do. We had somebody in a past life before this one that lived by social stricture, lived such a strict life, regimented, did everything everybody told him to do. And then you have this inventor that gets to be free and do whatever the hell they want to do. And this guy's like, I am going to get this thing up in the air. I'll figure out how to do it. I feel like he got up a little bit and then it would come back down. And he would get up a little bit and he would come back down. And it was because he was doing like a dip, like there was a dip in the road, like he would go so fast and then the road would dip down a little bit and then it would come back down. So he was an inventor. I also have to say, I don't think that was his main invention. I don't think it was his main invention at all. I think it was a really cool thing that he come up with, and that it was something he was mimicking off of somebody else he saw making achievements. But I also feel like this person created something for Ford. I feel like they created some car part because he's showing me the Ford emblem, and he's showing me living in the United States and putting things on cars. And it kind of, I don't know what this is. Let's go of Sam. Is this a thing? Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Oh,
I can't hear you. I just because I can't hear you doesn't mean they can't. My internet's really, really poor here.
Okay. I don't have anybody say, so did E.T. Nancy Bulliard, you're cracking me up. You're right.
What was the question?
Know if, I see this guy, doing his little bike thing, but that's not his made. It didn't work, really, but he's showing me they're showing me the Ford emblem, and they're showing me he made like a gas cap that had a little screw on top for vapor to let vapor out. Is this a thing?
Yeah. I don't know if it was a gas cap or not, but it's essentially like a valve that lets the pressure off. So gasoline, of course, when the temperature gets hot, it expands and gas is off. So it has the ability to rupture the tank,
Okay.
especially with the technology that they had back in those days.
Okay, because he shows me it's like a gold, maybe brass cap that he was screwing down onto the gas thing, and then he would, when he would go to take it off, he would unscrew it a little bit, and it was his invention. It's like what he contributed to Ford cars.
Okay, so I know in boats they have that valve on the gas tanks, so that it will. But that technology may have came from that.
Okay.
In boats, so it keeps you from sucking a vacuum down too.
So Dolores, how cool is that? Actually, you probably solved a lot of cars from exploding, right? And it got used across a lot of different broad things. So yay, right? You were an inventor that was very prosperous. I bet you got paid well for that. I hear that there's so I ask about family. I get a beautiful wife. He was very much in love. He was very much in love with his wife, by the way. It's almost like as I'm looking at him, asking about her, and he's like he would throw rose, not physically, but like if he could have thrown rose petals in front of her, that's how much he loved her. And then he had 2 boys, and something and son. He built a business, and it was their last name and then sons, and it had to do with the parts that they supplied to Ford, because they lived in Michigan. Oh my gosh, he used the dunes in Michigan for his bike contraption. That's the things that were going up and down. How cool is that? Okay, cool. How neat is that? Okay, let's move on. Very cool. Smart and in love with a great family, right? She has 2 sons. How cool is that, right? Okay, let's move on to Dana Cote. What is that? Right out the gate. Don't even start with me. That door is open. I don't want to hear it. You have food in your bowl. I'm glad that resonates. That's just really cool. I love it when things like that, like they come up with these little, like there's a little dial. Don't you see the little dial? That kind of stuff is really, really, really validating, really cool. let's see. Let's go with Dana Kodak. Dana, I know that there's some sort of concussion on the back of the head. So you got to give me a second to figure out what this is. It is very much, it feels like okay. It feels very much like the top of the, so sometimes you guys, they just get graphic. I can't help it. It's just how it goes. The top of the head, like right here, has been cleaved. Like somebody took a broadsword and just went, wham. Oh, I understand what this is. Okay, thank you very much. This was somebody that was on the ground. They were knocked from a horse. I do know that because I can feel if you've ever had a bad dismount, you don't forget what that feels like. But this person hit the ground like ka-thunk, and they were just massive amount of muscle. And when they hit the ground, and it took a bit for them to get up. I'm not quite, maybe they were concussed. I don't know. But when they went to go get up off of the ground, it feels like the weight of them was hard to pick up. But this other person that was on, gotcha, understood. Thank you so much. The other person that was still on the horse was wearing a white tunic with a red cross on it. You got knocked off by the Knights Templar guys. So you were actually on the other side. You were Islamic fighting. It was the Crusades. You were fighting in the Crusades, and you had the top half, the top portion of your head, done like that. Not so great, right? But I do have to say that you very up to the very end of your life felt like very much like you were right, that you were working, you were fighting for what you believed in. And that was so super important. Honestly, there was no right or wrong in the Crusades, was there? There just wasn't. It was people killing each other over opinions. Okay. So that person was that they passed peacefully. Not as peaceful as you're going to in that type of situation, but with the heart of, I did whatever I needed to do to feel as if I was protecting what I needed to protect in my life. And it is both. Yeah. There was no win. There was no win there. But this person, the main part about this is this person had a huge family. Because I ask about the family and they're like, oh, family, lots of family. He lived a loved lifetime, but he talks about having stood up for what he felt was right, and that if he had to die for it, then there you go, right? You don't step out of on this field unless you're prepared to pay the price for your honor. And that's what he did, as he talked about being honorable and doing what he believed in, because he was very deeply spiritual, right? Very, very deeply. Oh, right. Sounds like the USA. Very, very deeply spiritual. And that's a big part that they want you to know, is that while what he believed might not have been what everybody else believed, it's still what he believed. And in his heart, it was correct. So don't let other people tell you that what you're thinking and what you're doing is not correct just because it's not their belief system or their belief in their paradigm of their existence. Because, in another lifetime, maybe you would have been on the other side. It just doesn't, it's here or there, tit for tat. It's don't be swayed because you have a different belief system. It froze. Hold on. Let me know when it's not froze. It says it froze.
Looks okay to me.
All right, I have one more to do. Dana, can you see me? I'm waiting to see if messages catch up. Right? Can we? Okay. Okay.
I can see you. I can see and hear you. No problem, baby.
Okay. All right. Can we all just get along? Okay. So let's move on to the next past life for Dana. Nose itches. Interesting. So I have another male past life for you this evening. This would have been somebody that had a big disconnection from, gosh, I hate to put it this way, a disconnection from reality. They lived in their own private world, basically. And they did this on purpose. They did this kind of on purpose because They were a painter. This is somebody that painted. I see a canvas in front of them and oils. I can smell oil paints. So I know this is somebody that painted in oil paints, and they stayed away from society as much as they possibly could because they felt like it created more beauty. Um, um, this is somebody that also painted on walls. They painted trees on walls. I see trees and water and children and rock. There's a rock. There's a rock. It looks like there's numbers on the rock. I don't know what the heck this is, so just bear with me here. It's on. Okay, it's hanging on a wall. Maybe it's hanging on a wall. Must be hanging on a wall because I see rock around it. So this is somebody that painted. It's a significant painting. It was like a little known artist, but one or two little paintings made it to be a larger thing. So it was like a mural, like a section, like one painting in a series. Maybe they weren't so small because there's like a series of paintings and I see them like hanging in the museum. They didn't think a whole lot of themselves. I know that they didn't think a whole lot of themselves. They're like, I need to live over here. I need to be quiet because nobody really pays attention to me anyways. And they just paint. And there's this, I don't know, it's trees, a big, huge tree, a bunch of children by a stream, and there's a rock with a number on it. And what looks to be angels. And then there's murals that go before it and after it. That's all I know. That's all I know. But this person was very exact where they put their paints. Their paints were very, that's not possible. Maybe, I don't know. They were very exact with where they put their paints and how they blended it. And like he would get pissed off and he would scrape stuff up or paint over. No, he had to scrape it up and then he would paint over it. So he had a temper. He would paint and furiously paint. And then he'd have to scrape it back off because he didn't like it and he'd do it over. Very much a perfectionist. Very, very much. Was it like religious art? It reminds me of religious art. It does remind me of a religious painting. Yes, it was a religious painting. It was commissioned. Interesting. It talks about voices. He hears voices in his head. And so he spends a lot of time talking to himself. He talks to himself a lot. We know that's our guys, right? So he spends a lot of time in solitude and he talks to himself. People might have thought he was crazy because he talks to himself out loud. Tons of ideas though. So really, really cool. If you don't paint. See if you can pull up that inner painter in yourself, right? So interesting. Very, very, very cool. The letter R. And gilding. Lots of gold flake gilding. Like there's gold gilding on frames or something. I don't know. That's all they're going to give me. They don't give me anything on family. I'm asking about family. And he's very single-minded. All I see is the painting. I also know that he was very spiritual and he had people, like he could hear people. He was medium, but he would talk, and that's part of, he would talk to people and they thought he was crazy because my mediumship ear is like a boom. And I know that means that this person could hear the other side. So interesting. Maybe you should paint, right? Okay. Moving on to Christina Franz. Mr. Fry, who's my next three after Christina? This really helps me to know so I'm gearing up.
All right. So Christina Franz is next.
Uh-huh.
And then the last three are going to be Kaylee McLean.
Okay.
Mary Reardon.
Okay.
And Tracy Wallace.
Okay. All right. Christina Franz.
Mrs. Fry.
Yes, Mr. Fry.
It is almost 11 o'clock here, and I have to get up at 5 o'clock. So I'm going to say good night and goodbye, everybody. Have a good evening. And we'll see you on the next go around.
Right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, my love. All right.
Yes. Message me when you're done, just in case I'm still awake. So.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I will.
Good night. Love you, babe.
Bye.
Night, everybody.
Okay. All right. Moving on. All right. Moving on. Christina Franz. I'll look at her picture. Oh, there she is. Okay. Oh, awesome. In what capacity is that? Yeah, understand. Thank you. Okay. Took a second. So, we're going to go to Ireland, right? We're going to go to Ireland. And the reason I don't know we're going to Ireland, the first thing I see is fairies. I see fairy realm. I see the veil. I see interesting shamanic work. Interesting shamanic work where this person actually is a female. It's a female past life. And she works really closely with, I have no other better way to say this, you guys. I'm sorry. She works closely with the elementals. She works really, really closely with the elementals and brings in that prosperity of gnome energy, and was like a go-between to tell people, hey, this is what we need to do to create prosperity with it for our crops and for our people. And really, really, it's like she, and I don't understand this, but I'm just going to tell you about it. She it's like she walks and she rings a bell, and she walks and she rings, I hear bells, and it's almost like she's calling in energies with a bell. I have no idea. I'm just telling you what I'm showing. And she walks very quietly. It's like she's walking right at the sun up, like the sun's just coming up, and she's out calling in energies. It's really, really beautiful. I don't think other people worked like she worked. I think she just had such a close connection to the land. Oh, this is really cool. She has this really close connection to the land, like there's hardly any separation to it. Like she grounds every step she takes, and it's just like boom, boom. It's like a force of nature. It really is truly beautiful. Um, and of course she was human, right? She's human, but it's like she's walking with one foot on either side. And as a shaman, I understand that. So they're saying this is a shamanic energy. This is somebody that could connect so closely to nature that there's like this blur, because as a shaman, we walk on both sides. We walk in the dark and the light, and we figure out how to balance that. So instead of talking about the dark and the light, she's talking about humanity and elemental, and she was able to negotiate in between there and bring cooperation in between the elementals to help bring in prosperous energies for the weather and all of that to create good crops and prosperity amongst the villages and things like that. So she does talk about that. She does talk about outside influences as well, where it was as if rude energies constantly came in and tormented people, and that there's a line, that, and okay, this is almost like a story. It's really very cool. She talks about the line where, hey, there's you ask for help, and the elemental realm says we can't get involved in that over there. And it was when Ireland was having a lot of problem with the invading energies, that invading people coming in and creating disharmony amongst all of the people that are local, and that's when a part of the people started to fall away from maybe some of the teachings of the elementals, because they were not being as helpful as maybe the people were used to them being, and she couldn't negotiate that anymore, and she felt very much like a failure. She felt very, very much like a failure, and it kind of influenced the second part of her life, because she didn't understand why she didn't have that connection anymore, when actually it had nothing to do with her at all. It had everything to do with the elementals pulling back a little bit, and she felt so disconnected from the planet that it affected her on a very, very deep level. So make sure you're not so affected by other people's behavior in this lifetime, because that is kind of what they're talking about, why they're showing this. Don't invest your energy so much into somebody else's processes and energies that you feel as if you might have failed somebody along the way, or if you're not being as successful as you think you should be. This is a big part of your energetic field. So make sure you don't just throw all your energy into somebody else's issues, because it's not going to serve you very well in the end. I do want to say that this woman uh, stepped away from almost the spirituality of her whole existence because she felt like she'd failed, and she took that into her heart and just went and lived what we'll call a muggle life, and the fairies and the gnomes and all of that, they're still there, right? They just didn't get involved in the human aspects of things because it's out of their jurisdiction, if you will. So very, very interesting lifetime. It's probably one of the first that I've had like that. So I've had a first this week, right? I've had my first alien abduction in ancient North America doing a soul tapping, and this is stepping into the fairy realm. Very, very cool. Very cool. And let's move on to that, the next one on that one. I want to talk about a male past life. They want to take me right back to that very area again. There's the energy that they're giving me on this particular past life, very male, very outspoken, very outmoving, um, but a little bit more reckless in the way they move forward in life. So with this particular past life, I actually feel like there's a scuffle. I feel like this went from this really beautiful life where your soul likes that duality. It likes to learn its lessons dynamically. So you have this very strong, wonderful woman, and then you have kind of the male energy flipped roles, right? You have this male energy that's a little bit weaker. um, they like to drink. Okay, they definitely like to drink. They like to fight. They like to get into scuffles. And I actually feel this person passed away through a fight. I feel like there's a knife possibly inserted into, I don't know. I want to say it's like in the side on the back as well. So it went pretty deep, but it would cause back issues, is what it would do. It would be soul type of issue that would cause back issues with an intrusion. Um, but or random phantom pains back there as well. Like you just go, what the hell? I don't know what that is. But this person, I actually feel like was just, he liked to needle people. He had a family. He should have been at home. Damn it. Uh, he had a family, and he had quite a few daughters, and a wife. And yet he was out when he shouldn't have. He was out at the drinking or getting, at the, I guess, the pub or whatever. And he got attacked on the way home because he pissed somebody off because he said the wrong thing, and they actually took it out on him and killed him alongside the road. Um, and it was like sensational for the longest time that somebody had been killed. It was not a normal thing to happen, and they searched and they searched, and then they never figured it out. So that is, it's like two sides of the same coin. It's just, walking on in sacredness, and then let's try this over here. Let's see how this goes. It didn't go so well, but it is how it happens. So okay, moving on. Do I get names come through when I do readings? Sometimes. It just depends on whether, um, when I'm reading, if it feels like it's an important thing for the guides to put through, and then sometimes they will. Linda McDonald, I do pet stuff, but I have somebody that I can refer you to that is excellent. And I mean excellent. She's one of my students from years ago, and she's really great. If you look up Lexi, Lexy, animal communicator, Lexi, animal communicator, fabulous. Anybody on here that's had a reading from her, definitely, give Lexi or Allie Rosebrock kudos, because she's very fabulous. Very, very fabulous. Okay, let's move on to Kaylee McLean. Yeah, Allie, it's Lexi, animal communicator, or Allie, Allie Rosebrock. She's fabulous. She really, really is. Kaylee McLean. There you are. Hi. Let's see. Let's see. Kaylee McLean. Kaylee, I want to talk about art. Not art like you're thinking. I'm thinking of uh, graceful, graceful movement. This is a male past life, and I feel, this is what I feel. I feel that front leg come out and sweep across the ground and come back. And I feel the other leg come out, sweep across, and come back. And every movement creates flow and energy. And what I hear is, I'll type this in here. There's what you look up, guys. Lexi, animal communicator. What I feel with this is martial arts. It feels very much like martial arts. And I keep hearing Shaolin. I keep hearing that graceful type of movement where there's so much energy behind it. And now, you know what, you guys? I look at what was it? Kung Fu? Was that who it was with Karate? I look at that so much differently nowadays, and that's what it is. Each movement created energy. Each movement created energy. And it was a skill, and it was an art, and this was a teacher. This was somebody that was a master. And I know they were master because I also have an animal totem in your background as a dragon. Very, very rarely do I get dragons come across. And I mean, very rarely. And what that means is this was somebody that learned in a lifetime how to master something. And we don't master things on this side generally. We master them on the other side, life between lives. That's what we're doing. We're taking our lessons. We go back, we review them, and then we go, okay, level up, right? But what we're talking about here is somebody that could control their energy so much that it was like a ball. It was like just like a ball in their gut, and they could move with fluid energy. It was so beautiful. But this person, what's important to note about this is this person was a teacher. They didn't have any, they had family. It was extended family. It was their students and their other teachers and things like that. But I don't feel like they actually claimed siblings and wives and things like that anymore. This person lived in a very secluded area, and people came to learn from them. And when I say them, it was a group of people that taught other people how to do this. And people were sent to them to learn how to control not just their body movement and protect themselves and use this as a force of protection, but also to control everything about them, about their energetic field. And it created dynamic warriors. And that's what they called themselves, warriors. I don't know if this was, what do they call them? What did they call them? They called them, what do they call them? They called them, dang it, I'm missing the word. Japanese. They're Japanese. Somebody come up with a word. They're fighters. They were part of a royal guard kind of thing. I can't remember the name of them. But these were people that were very, very revered and very dangerous individuals. They were very controlling of their energy and knew how to fight. And he was a teacher. Very interesting. He talks about coming from like Shogun. I can't remember their names. Shogun is about a type of fighter. Samurai. I don't think it's samurai though. That doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. I feel like samurai is much more. That's the word I was looking for. I think it was Shaolin. I really do. I think it was Shaolin. Shaolin to me the energy feels much more controlled, and samurai feels more. Let me take you down, okay? But it just feels like very controlled. So I'm going with Shaolin monk type of situation. It just feels very, very controlled. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And I talk about bull energy. I don't understand that. Maybe he was born in the year of a bull. I don't understand why he's showing me bull. But interesting past life. So let's see what we come up with after that. He talks about growing up in poverty and being very, very hungry and very blessed to be where he was. I don't even know in what capacity we're going with. So there's going to be a lot of residual from that, right? Because in this one lifetime, you have controlled your energy. I mean, that's huge. That's huge. So I'm trying to figure out what this next life is, and the only thing they're giving me so far is my ears are buzzing. Like, this is my you're not getting the message feeling. I feel like this was somebody. Oh, I understand. Thank you very much. Oh, that's sad. Okay, I gotcha. I understand. Thank you. I'm trying to figure out why my ears are buzzing when I'm not getting messages. It's just an indication that this person in this next life that we're going to talk about got messages. And so if people did things out of the ordinary, what happened to them, right? If you're talking about uh, even in the United States, early United States, over in Europe, it's, when you're sitting there talking to yourself and you're just talking to yourself for no good reason, people are going to probably, put you in a home of some sort that may not be desirable. So I really feel like there was a lot of this going on. I feel like there was a lot of this going on. There was a lot of rocking going on. This was this was a life after this Shaolin existence that was so open to spirit, because what their purpose was to be in this next lifetime was to be um, a speaker for spirit, to be somebody that would, could speak and give messages and allow the divine to come through and be able to prophesize things, right? Instead, what happened was the flip of that coin, and instead of being more of a prophet, they were actually sent into some sort of asylum and spend their whole days in an asylum because there was no filter. They hadn't figured out how to filter. I don't think that it had been really thought out very well, that, hey, in the next lifetime, we're just going to talk because now we have control of our energy. We're just going to talk in our next lifetime and everybody's going to believe us, instead of thinking too much about the human condition and people going, that person's crazy. And they just put them away. It was a woman. They put her away. And I just get this. I get this rocking thing like this, and I have to tell you that I also feel like while she was in this situation, she was abused, and she actually became pregnant while within within the home, and her baby was taken away from her and sold, and that clenched it. Oh my God, did I just say sold? Okay, well, let's put it that way then. That's one way to put it. The baby was taken and kind of like a sold to the highest bidder kind of thing for somebody that needed a baby. This is not modern. I need you to know that this is not modern. This is the conditions in this home. This asylum, disgusting, disgusting. That there's no that child went off someplace else, and that clenched it, and she really did lose her crackers at that point. So while she was probably totally sane before that, and she just didn't understand how to differentiate between message and what we should say and what we shouldn't say, there it went. So definitely. Okay, moving on. Okay, let's move on to Mary Reardon. Are you still here, Mary? I'm sure you are. Yeah, that's a horrible thing to dream of too, being locked up like that. I'm sorry that resonates with you. Really, actually, the Shaolin is awesome, right? That's amazing. That's amazing. But the other end of that is kind of traumatic, very traumatic, actually. Mary Reardon. Okay, that's where we're going to start. Where are we going to go with that? Okay. Hi. Hi. Okay. We're going on 3 hours here. Okay. Mary Reardon. I keep seeing I know, Sandra, isn't it so cool, the diversity that goes on? I mean, just so much diversity. Um, uh, I keep seeing Metatron's cube, and I keep hearing loud pitched noises. Let me figure that out. Oh, okay then. I know nothing about that lifetime. I mean, like, just other than that. Okay. All right, we're gonna do it. I don't know nothing about this. All right. Let's talk about Enoch. Let's talk about Enoch. I know nothing about Enoch's life. Here's what I know. I mean, like, Metatron and I are like, we're best buds. Okay. I know Metatron has had a life as Enoch. He's had a couple lives as human existences, right? He's him and I think it's Sandalphon or Seraphim are the only two angels that have had human lifetimes. And actually, Archangel Michael or Metatron is not an archangel angel. He is the second in command to God. He is the voice of God. So he's the conveyance of the divine energy, right? So really high vibration, which is where this high pitched noise comes from, and the sacred geometry. Okay, so I know that is unequivocally Metatron. And then he starts talking about human existence and on Earth. He's talking about Enoch. So I know that this person, that this particular past life that we're going to go into, Mary, has to do with being in the presence of Enoch, which was Metatron, right? So a lot of sacred work went on in this time frame. A lot of lessons were learned. A lot of growth was happening on the planet spiritually. There was new religions popping up. There was formations. There was so many really cool things going on. But I really feel like this lifetime that you had that we're discussing graced closely to Metatron. Like it's like you would have passed him on the street, Enoch and Sandalphon Elijah. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was Sandalphon. Okay. But it's like you could have walked next to Enoch and like, hey, how you doing? Like you would have known him. You would have known him, which puts you pretty profoundly into history. I believe that you're probably named in the book of Enoch. Do I get a name? I mean, we're going to talk like this. Are we going to get a name? Gosh, is there a... I keep hearing Daniel. I keep hearing Daniel. I really do not know anything about this. So other than what I've talked to with Metatron and briefly about it, I keep getting like a Daniel or a... I'm going to go with Daniel. I'm going to stick with Daniel. I have no idea. This... Interesting. Okay. They keep showing me Bahutes. They keep showing me the water bearer. They keep showing me the person that serves somebody. So maybe this was a servant or something. They keep showing me the Bahutes, the water bearer, the person that brought the water, the person that that helped create flow for somebody. I don't know what that is. It's like... I'm just going to give you the visual that they're giving me at the moment. It's like someone put their hands into reeds, like big tall reeds along the water, and parted them like this, and there was somebody there, and that's who they're talking about. It's like they parted the reeds and there was somebody in the water standing there looking at them. So I don't even know what the heck we're talking about. But I don't know if this is in a book someplace, like there's a person within the water in the reeds. I don't know what they're talking about. But they're trying to give me hints of who this person was, and I'm failing miserably at this. Okay. I will throw myself under the bus in a hot second. So okay. So the other thing I want to say about this is we're gonna move on beyond this because I need to move. Is they're talking about like sickness to the stomach, almost like a a feeling of uncertainty, nerves, that kind of thing, like that kind of feeling in the stomach, that if you're not doing it right, then something could go wrong, and blah, 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 blah. You need to follow this. You need to follow this. You need to follow your gut more often, is what they're telling you. Follow your gut. You have so many deep roots, deep roots that go so back and touch on so many profound energies in lifetimes, that you have bumped into different energies from that lifetime, not necessarily Metatron, but I really feel like Metatron guides you. Metatron doesn't come into anybody's life just to be like, oh, hey, how the hell are you doing? And then leave. Okay. If you touched on a life in him, he's going to have a personal investment in making sure that he's paying attention. If you knew him in a human existence, I can't imagine him not doing that. You know, a lot of people have experiences with Metatron, and a lot of people are like, he's super strict. And I think he's like the word cleaver of the angels. He's like, oh, you know, and he's super strict, but boy, he has a great sense of humor. And he wears I see him in jeans and a t-shirt. Okay. So, I mean, even a concert t-shirt. I'm trying to see what concert t-shirt we have. And you want to know what concert t-shirt he has on? Isn't that crazy? Isn't that like the strangest thing? He's like, I've got a concert t-shirt on. I'm a regular guy. He's crazy. But he shows his jeans. I mean, I know what kind of t-shirt it is. It's funny, but so I'm just going to say that he's often touching on your existence nowadays. And he says, just have the faith that I'm there. Have the faith. There's so many different things that happen in our life that are challenges. Just know that you're never left alone. No, that's a horrible way to put it. That you're never alone. That you're never alone. All right, let's move on to the next one. If you hear a buzzing in your ear, just know that's part of that. That's your. Who else sees their different really big guides, really super casual? I think that's because they just know that that's the way I'm going to see them best. Okay, next lifetime. Interesting. Okay, all right, that's interesting. We'll go with that. So they're talking about learning lessons. He has the theme for you, doesn't he? And he's talking about guidance and teaching, because definitely this is something that happened in that last lifetime. There was a lot of teaching that went on. He learned a lot of lessons. And the thing that I'm seeing with this one is mathematics. Believe it or not, we're going to talk about mathematics. I see a past life for you as an instructor, as a teacher, as actually a professor, somebody that worked in a college, an older college. Like I do not know how long chalkboards have been around. But I feel like this was somebody that was like, this is a really cool thing. And they're putting it up big on a wall. Okay. This is really cool. It's almost like the beginning of formulas and my head is itching from this. It's almost like the beginning of formulas and creations of mathematical processes that will move humanity forward. I kind of get like this whole Einstein-y feeling going with this. I'm not saying you're Einstein. What I'm saying is that type of intelligence, one person teaching another person how to do something, and then that person adds on to that person's stuff. And then all of a sudden you come up with all these new processes, and it's like new ways to calculate. So I really feel like this was part of do I know what shade of gray my walls are? I do. I'll let you know in a little bit. I have the color swatch right in the other room. It's actually not gray, it's purple. Believe it or not, it's a gray purple. So I just feel like that there was a lot of calculation in this particular lifetime that we're talking about, because it is serving you in lifetimes beyond after that where you go, okay, we're going to look at things a little bit more precisely. And I don't know how you deal with money, but this should be playing into your lifetime now as to how you calculate what goes into each different bill and things like that. And if you're having problems in that area, sit back, breathe a little bit into it, and just try to follow your gut moving forward on money and stuff like that. I know it's just a weird reading, but yeah. So we've gone through the Book of Enoch to mathematics. You never know where it's going, right? Okay. Moving on. Our last person of the evening is Tracy Wallace. Did I put that right? Because I didn't spell it very well. Is it Tracy Wallace? Tracy, let me know if you're here. Whoop, whoop. Thank you very much. I just got my hair cut today. It's that we can't mess it up look. It's just that way. Suck at math. Me too. You know, I didn't realize Tracy Wallace. Okay. I didn't realize that algebra, I couldn't figure out algebra to save my life. I didn't realize that one lesson built upon another. Nobody told me that. Nobody told me that. And I learned it in college, so I figured it out. Okay. It's been a wonderful meeting, everybody. Just kind of reading away tonight, right? I don't get on very often and do this, but and just read like this. Just I usually am on in the morning. I'm usually on like between 9 and 10 Central, doing coffee. Good morning. Okay, so Tracy Wallace. Let's see where you are here. Tracy Wallace, you have horses. Maybe you don't own them now. I don't know. But boy, do you have horses around you. You're very welcome, Mary. You have horses around you. Okay, gotcha. Thank you very much. Okay, oh boy, that really clarified that. I know that feeling. I see horses racing. I see steeplechases. I see taking care of animals. I smell the barn. I miss my barn. We have horses as well. They just happen to be in Michigan and Ohio, and we are in Oklahoma. We will go see them next week. But so it's not a twitch. It really isn't. I'm popping my ear, and you'll know why in just a minute. So do you have horses? Do you have horses, Tracy? Because what's funny is I see horses, I see steeplechases, I see running, lots of horse running. I see thoroughbreds, really fancy, expensive horses back in a time before horses were really, here. It's not the United States. It's definitely not United States. This is, I keep seeing steeplechasing, jumping over fences. I never see any good reason in this existence to take any of my horses up off of the ground. I just don't. I want to keep them on. You race horse now? Okay. There we go then. Right? But this is definitely over in England. It's been in your, oh yeah. I love reading. It doesn't tire me, like channeling. When I channel Ashtar, I do get tired. But I don't, this doesn't, I love doing this. I love being in the Akashic calls. It's a lot of fun. I don't see any good reason to take the feet off the ground. I really, really don't. I never have. So this was somebody that was actually caring for horses. They were taking care of horses, and we'll just call them the groom. Okay, we're going to call them groom. They took care of the animals, and they made sure they were in proper health. Matter of fact, that's the words that were used, were proper health. I would have said they were taking, made sure they were groomed, but they're like, no, they're in the proper health. It wasn't just about making sure they were slick and shiny and pretty. It was all about whose horse looked the best, right? Whose horse would sell for the most. And that's, hey, that's the way they dealt it. That's fine. I wanted to talk about, though, the swiftness with which things change. This person was very good with their job. They loved their animals that they worked with. They were very, very jumpy, very high-spirited, very animals. And this guy worked with them really, really well. And he talks about, man, I had a golden position. I had a golden position. All I had to do was feed them, brush them, make sure they had good food. My family lived well. We had a home on in the stable area. You know, we were well cared for. Nobody needed anything. Everything was great. His family was happy. I know, and when I said, I know that feeling, he got kicked in the head. On the right side of his head, there was a concussion. I don't know that it was a matter of fact, it wasn't a death moment, but it was it put him down bad. It put him down bad. I feel like it gave him some sort of neurological issue as well. Like he really got walloped in the head. So this particular past life, he gained a lot of respect for these animals. He continued to do his job, but I do have to tell you that he had compassionate people that he worked with that felt horrible that he had gotten hurt, and they hired help to come in and help him. So they actually spent more money to keep this gentleman on because he did such a great job and had such a connection with those animals that they didn't think that they could find anybody that did what he did. So they found someone to come in and help him so that his family didn't, because they didn't want him, they felt responsible because it was their animals. They didn't want his family to want, they were part of a family. I mean, they weren't family, but they were part of that farm. You know what I mean? They were part of that existence. And the people that owned the property, the people that had the money, wanted to make sure that his family didn't want for anything. And I really do feel like it affected him in a pretty profound manner, as you can say, as you would know, a horse kicking you in the head, because a horse came down on his head and got him. So I fell off twice, 2 broken bones, 2 years apart, off horses. Nothing worse than a bad dismount, right? Nothing worse than a bad dismount. I'm not a fan. I've been on that end. Yeah. So I really feel like this was a lifetime that is really cool, and a great way to start wrapping up this evening with somebody gave a shit about somebody else. Somebody that they didn't maybe think would have cared that much gave a shit about somebody that was doing a job for them, because they valued the person and their job and their work and the way they handled themselves and all of those things that made this gentleman a sterling individual. You know, when you treat an animal well, it says so much about the person, right? And it rolled off this guy in this past life that you had, that you were a quality person, and that still resonates in your energetic field. So that love of those animals, you know, we have to love them because they're worse than boats, right? What is a boat? It's a hole in the water you throw money into. Yeah. I'm so sleep deprived right now. I'm waiting on 2 baby horses. I'm just so tired. But you know, watching the cameras from another state like an expectant mother myself. So anyhow, let's move on to your next one, because you're a doula. Wow, postpartum doula. Wow, that's awesome. That is really cool. That is really cool. Awesome. And racehorses. I mean, good for you, girl. Okay, let's do your next one. Let's see where we're going to go with this. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking someday. If Bear's like 2 weeks over, like 2 weeks over the 2-week window, like 2 weeks on the other side of the due date. She's 2 weeks over that. We're going on a year here. Why not? I want to talk. I definitely hear the words sod. I hear sod. I know that, and that's so cliche. I have great guides. My guides are fabulous. I hear Little House on the Prairie, y'all. I definitely hear the Little House on the Prairie theme song. And because I was like, sod, really? Are we going to do that? And so what I see though is when I'm doing these readings, I start with a photo and it turns into a movie. And it's so cool because sometimes I can interact with these energies from past lives, because really it's happening right now. There is no past, present, and future. It's all right now. And when I'm doing these Akashic readings, I can go in and I can work with these energies as well. So um, as I'm doing this, I'm seeing this guy, and he is standing behind a plow, and there is a team of 3 horses pulling this plow, and I feel like there's 3 horses in front of this single plow, because the dirt is so hard that he's doing everything he can to break that dirt up to be able to put something in the soil. He's working so hard to provide for his family. This is the one thing that I can say about your soul energy is it works and wants to always ensure that the people that are loved are taken care of. Like, immensely important, right? And it should be important to everybody. No, it isn't, but it should be the first and foremost that our family comes first. And this person, I mean, he worked so hard to squeak out anything he could for his family. Um, a very young guy. The what they're showing me at this point. Now I'm gonna just give you I know he didn't make it very long. Okay. I just know he didn't. I'm not to the end part of this yet, but I know he didn't make it very long. I know he was trespassing, what somebody else considered trespassing. All right. He was given a piece of paper that said, you can do this. And somebody else said, no, they won. I'm trying to see what I don't know why it's important, but I want to know what he's planting, right? He talks about easy crops, dirt, like he has potatoes in the ground and corn. He's like, we can live on these things. We can live on these things. And then there's smaller things. Damn, that was hard. There's smaller things in the ground up closer to the house. And I see a wife. I do see a wife coming out to him. Okay. They're giving me this visual of this wife coming out to him, and she has a little baby boy on her hip. And the little baby boy is like wearing this white slip kind of thing. It's just like a night dressy kind of thing. Why are we showing me this? Okay. So like I said, it's a short life, right? And I pretty much any probably can figure out where this is going. Because when I started to see this, I'm like, oh, come on. You just had this really great life where people cared about people, right? And then we have to go to the other side, and we go to, do people care about each other? Well, people care about taking care of their own people, right? Sometimes. Sometimes it just happens that way. And I see this gentleman standing out in the field, and he's like super proud of himself. He's like, the ground is broken and the horses are still hitched to this plow. Oh, the horses are still hitched to this plow. And the wife is standing there with him. And this is an end moment. This is an end moment. This is one of those, they're actually kind of like showing a book closing. There's people in the grass. There's tall grass everywhere. There's people in the grass. And this is a moment where, it was Native Americans, that's their property. That's their property. You can't sell the earth, right? And they just felt like they were being pushed out of their own territory, where they traveled, and things were told they couldn't do that anymore, and they took it out on the people that were trying to eke out an existence. And that would have been that moment out in the, oh, that's terrible. I have to say that, in addition to that, I feel like there was a little girl that was off in the cabin, in the little cabin they had. So there was 2 children. There was the little boy, and then there was the little girl. She was older, and she was in the cabin, and the whole family was, taken out. And here's the thing. This is what gets me. It doesn't get me. It doesn't get me. I don't understand the process behind this. I don't understand the thought process behind this. They didn't take the horses. They didn't take the horses. They set the horses running. And we know what's going to happen. If you have a plow behind a 3 hitch and you send them off, they're going to run till they die. I don't understand why they didn't take the horses. Maybe not. They thought they were too big because they were drafty type of animals. But it was everything was burnt and destroyed, and the horses were sent off. So we have to have contrast, right? We have to have contrast. But very, very short life. I don't think they live past 27. I don't think they live past 27. So, guys, right? A little over 3 hours. Really cool. Really dynamic lifetimes. Sometimes we find that we just have these mundane lives, and then other times we find that we did something truly, truly amazing. So I hope that everybody learned something tonight. I'm kind of interested in that whole Enoch life, honestly, but interesting, definitely different and interesting. No wonder you have horses, right? They still beat the crap out of us. I had a young stud just kick crap out of my head one year. I don't have him anymore. Because him and I didn't get along. My friend has him. He's still mine, but I don't deal with him. So anyhow, matter of fact, the babies that are coming are not out of him, sired by him. And someday they'll hit the ground. So make sure you guys are liking My Mystical Life so you can see all the baby pictures. Heard most lifetimes had horses. Yeah, a lot of them, most of them did. Yeah, but yours were profound. That one was profound. The one where you got kicked in the head, I love it. I know that you didn't don't love that you get kicked in the head, but the whole background behind that is beautiful. It really, really is beautiful, because people don't care about each other like that in every situation like that, so that's really cool. All right, guys. All right. It's been fun. I was like, you need to cut that off. You need to stop. Okay. I'm going to try and catch my husband before he goes to sleep. And I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. It's a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun. And find joy, find love, find light, feel divine, because you are. And if Sam were here, he would say, may the light be with you always. So good night, everybody. Bye.